Hey there, sleepyheads. Welcome back to the channel. Before we drift into tonight's tale of the next dreamer, the reincarnation of Finn, I'd love to know where in the world are you watching from tonight? And what time is it for you right now? Drop it in the comments below. It's always magical seeing how far and wide this sleepy little community reaches. All right, lights low, blankets up, let's begin. Some stories don't end with a final battle or a triumphant farewell. Some stories simply soften, like an ember settling into ash, warm and glowing for a long while after the flames have quieted. Finn the human's story feels very much like that. Not a sudden stop, not a curtain dropping, but a gentle exhale at the end of a long and wandering journey. When we think of Finn, it's easy to picture the bold adventurer he once was, charging across grassy hills with a laugh on his lips and a sword shining in the morning light. But over the seasons, that brightness settled into something calmer, something deeper. The boy who once ran toward every danger grew into someone who questioned the meaning behind the quests he undertook, someone who learned to sit with uncertainty, to listen to others, and to understand that not every mystery needs to be solved with a swing of a blade. His journey stretched across the strange and beautiful landscapes of Ooh, but it also moved inward into his own mind, heart, and sense of self. And eventually, as all journeys do, his path wound into a quiet place. Not a conclusion exactly, but a soft resting point. We see glimpses of Finn older, more at peace, still carrying that unmistakable spark inside him. The show never marks a definitive ending because in Adventure Time, nothing ever really ends. Everything loops, changes form, and continues in new ways. Stories stretch beyond lifetimes, slipping between realms, drifting like gentle echoes carried on a breeze. There's something comforting about that. Something soothing in knowing that a life as full and wild as Finn's doesn't just vanish. It transforms, it lingers, it settles into the spaces between worlds. And the more we look at the threads woven throughout the series, the more we start to notice the quiet hints that Finn's essence may travel farther than we ever see on screen. Adventure Time has always loved exploring the strange pathways of existence. Souls reappear in new forms. Memories ripple across timelines. Dreams cross into other realities. Even the universe itself seems to breathe and cycle like a living being. In a world where a cosmic wishmaster naps between dimensions, where reincarnated souls wander through lifetimes, seeking closure, and where alternate versions of every character drifted across infinite timelines, the idea of Finn's spirit continuing beyond his known story feels not just possible, but natural. It's there in the gentle melancholy of Shoko's tale, the shadow of a past life reaching toward the present. It's there in the dead worlds and dream realms, quietly suggesting that death is more of a transition than an end. And it's there in the way Finn's identity feels so fluid throughout the show, shifting and growing, as if preparing itself for something beyond the boundaries of his familiar world. So when we imagine Finn reaching the quiet end of his journey in Ooh, we don't picture a final chapter closing. Instead, we imagine a soft fade into another kind of existence, a drifting, a subtle continuation of something that refuses to be contained to a single lifetime or a single world. The universe of Adventure Time is wide and layered, filled with connections that stretch across reality like threads of light. And Finn's spirit seems woven right into those threads. Perhaps after his days in Ooh have settled into memory, after the laughter and battles and lessons have become soft echoes, Finn's essence finds its way into the gentle currents of the multiverse. Perhaps it drifts through quiet spaces where time feels slow and welcoming. And perhaps, somewhere far from the familiar shapes of the Candy Kingdom, or the rolling hills of the grasslands, that spark finds its way into a new beginning. A beginning so soft and subtle that no one would notice it at first. A breath, a heartbeat, a tiny life opening its eyes for the very first time. A new soul entering a world untouched by magic, or post-apocalyptic ruins, carrying only the faintest whisper of who it once was. Finn's story might seem complete to those who only know the surface of Adventure Time, but to those who listen closely, who pay attention to the quiet corners and the gentle, symbolic moments, there is a sense of continuation, a suggestion that great spirits, great hearts, rarely stay silent. They echo. They return. They begin again in the softest and most unexpected ways. And in that softness lies the beginning of our theory. Not of Finn reborn as a hero ready for quests, but Finn reborn as a dreamer, carrying only the quietest remnants of his past life, a gentle spark waiting to awaken in a new universe. In Adventure Time, rebirth is seldom dramatic. It's quiet, almost tender, like a memory that slips into place when you're not looking. Shoko doesn't roar back into existence. She returns as a whisper threaded through Finn's dreams. The souls in the dead worlds don't awaken with shouts. They rise like mist, drifting into their next purpose. Even universes themselves seem to cycle softly, fading and returning with the gentleness of a tide. So when we imagine Finn's essence moving on, carried by these same currents of cosmic softness, it feels natural to picture it settling gently into a new life, not one shaped by prophecy or adventure, but one wrapped in the calm innocence of a child who has no idea how ancient his spirit truly is. But before we wander too far into the idea of rebirth, it's worth lingering for a moment on what Finn's ending really looks like. The interesting thing is, it isn't an ending at all. The series finale leans into the quiet truth that life doesn't resolve itself neatly. Finn doesn't get all the answers. He doesn't unravel every mystery. He simply continues. He grows older. He keeps learning. He keeps living peacefully, gently, in a way that suggests his story stretches well beyond the frame. We're shown glimpses of him in distant lands, moving through adulthood with the same warm-hearted curiosity he always carried. His spirit is unchanged even as the world shifts around him. There's a mature calm to him, an acceptance, as if he's finally learned that the universe is far larger and more mysterious than he once believed. And in that acceptance, there's a sense of readiness, as if he has lived this chapter fully. And when the time comes for the next transformation, his soul will step into it without fear. This is the version of Finn, whose energy might slip into the quiet spaces between worlds once his time has run its course. A Finn who is no longer defined by battles or quests, but by experience, compassion, and the strange, glowing wisdom that comes from a life of learning to let go. When you look closely at the show, there are many places where this idea of continuation peeks through. The cosmic owl drifting through dreams, Glob and his many forms, Prismo maintaining existence through a dreamer's paradox, the universe itself looping, collapsing, restarting, echoing with faint memories of what came before. Souls in this world are not fixed points. They are patterns, waves, vibrations that travel from one form to another, changing shape, but never disappearing. Finn seems especially connected to these deeper patterns. From the moment we learn about his ties to Shoko, it becomes clear that his soul has walked the path before. His courage, his restlessness, his deep desire to do good. These are traits that feel older than one lifetime. Even the way he slips into dream worlds and metaphysical realms with such ease hints that his spirit already understands how thin the boundaries truly are. So when we imagine the end of Finn's time in Oo, We don't see a hard stop. We see a door slowly closing and another quietly opening. A transition from one reality to another. And somewhere, across that boundary, a new beginning waits in silence. But reincarnation, especially in the soft, metaphysical sense that Adventure Time suggests, isn't about copying a life or repeating a journey. It's about carrying forward the emotional residue, the faint impressions, the quiet longings that define a soul. It's about letting the essence of who someone was drift into a new existence, subtle enough that the new life never feels weighed down, but guided. And so if Finn's spirit were to travel into a new universe, it wouldn't be with grand fanfare. It wouldn't arrive with memories of battles or faces or places. It would arrive as a whisper, a spark, a feeling, something gentle enough to settle seamlessly into the small, growing heart of a newborn child. A child who would one day dream of grassy hills he had never seen. A child who would feel a strange comfort at the thought of a warm, golden presence by his side. A child whose bravery, kindness, and curiosity would feel older than he was, as if inherited from a life long past. This sort of quiet inheritance aligns with the symbolic rhythm of the show. Adventure Time doesn't rely on loud revelations or obvious reincarnation arcs. Instead, it plants whispers, hints, moments that you only truly understand when you look back with a calm and patient eye. Finn, of all characters, seems most likely to linger in this way, not as a ghost or a memory, but as an emotional imprint carried across the multiverse. A soft echo of a hero whose life was driven by a deep and enduring love for the world around him. And while Ooh will always hold the story of who he was, the idea that another universe might hold who he becomes next is a deeply soothing one. A reminder that endings are rarely as final as they seem. That even when a chapter grows quiet, the spirit within it continues on, reshaping itself in new and wondrous ways. In this gentle space between endings and beginnings lies the heart of our theory. A theory that imagines Finn not retired, not gone, but reborn. A theory that begins not with a hero waking to adventure, but with a child opening his eyes to a world that feels strangely familiar in ways he cannot explain. And so, if we lean into this idea, we can picture the final moments of Finn's story in Ooh not as a close, sharp conclusion, but as a slow, tender exhale. The land continues around him, soft and quiet under evening skies. Trees sway gently in the breeze. The rivers reflect the fading sunlight like liquid gold, and the distant mountains hold the shadows of adventures long past. Finn, older now, sits somewhere in the quiet of the world he helped shape, feeling that familiar warmth of connection. The echoes of all the friends he's made, the lives he's touched, the love he's carried with him, through both triumph and loss. His spirit, serene, feels ready to drift, ready to step softly into a different rhythm of existence. It is in this serenity that we begin to understand the way Adventure Time handles the grand tapestry of life. Nothing truly ends, it simply shifts, like the way a melody lingers in the mind long after the song has ended. There is a hush over Finn's universe, a calm reassurance that his story continues, even when he is no longer at the center of it. The world holds on to him as he holds on to the world. A quiet symmetry that gently implies that souls are never truly lost. They are simply carried forward in forms we cannot always perceive. And this is the gentle doorway into our theory, the soft space where speculation can breathe. What if Finn's essence, this quiet spark that has always been part of the multiverse's rhythm, found its way into a new reality? A reality not yet shaped by the chaos of post-apocalyptic landscapes or candy kingdoms, not yet familiar with heroic quests, but a place still rich with possibility. A world where a child might be born carrying faint traces of bravery, kindness, and curiosity, residues of a soul that once knew ooh intimately, even if that child does not yet understand why. In Adventure Time, there is a recurring theme. That dreams are not always just imagination. Sometimes they are messages, whispers of what has been or what could be. Finn himself frequently wandered through dreamscapes that felt strangely alive, that seemed to pulse with meaning beyond the immediate. These dreamscapes were rarely chaotic or threatening. More often, they were gentle corridors connecting him to truths larger than himself. And perhaps, in this new life, dreams serve a similar purpose. Perhaps they are the threads through which Finn's soul quietly guides the next dreamer, planting gentle instincts and subtle affinities that shape a life without overwhelming it. Consider the qualities that made Finn who he was. His courage, yes, but also his empathy, his playful curiosity, his capacity for wonder, and a deep, abiding desire to care for others. These qualities are not bound to a single body or lifetime. They are the whispers of a spirit, capable of flowing into new forms and inspiring life wherever they go. The child who awakens in this quiet, untouched world may not remember Finn explicitly, may not recognize ooh in any conscious way, yet he will feel the faint resonance of all those adventures and connections encoded subtly into his own soul. And isn't it remarkable to think about how life might carry these echoes? How a universe can nurture a spirit not through the direct memory of past deeds, but through the emotional essence of experience itself. Finn's heroic life becomes less about battles and victories and more about the enduring pulse of curiosity, kindness, and love, qualities that may now seed a new beginning in another reality, guiding a new soul gently, quietly, without fanfare. We can picture the transition as almost imperceptible, like a soft ripple through a still pond. Finn's consciousness, fully formed and fully realized, does not vanish. It condenses, disperses, and finds new shape. Perhaps there is a quiet glow, a barely perceptible warmth that accompanies the child's first breaths, a comfort that seems to whisper, "You are safe, you are known, you are already loved." It is in this subtle continuity, this invisible thread stretching between realities, that the idea of reincarnation finds its most beautiful expression in Adventure Time. A soul continuing, reshaping, softly guiding. And as we reflect on this, it becomes easier to understand why Adventure Time never confines itself to a single universe or a linear narrative. The show flirts constantly with the infinite, alternate dimensions, time loops, dream realms, and cosmic paradoxes. In these spaces, endings are suggestions rather than absolutes, transitions more than closures. It is a universe built to allow a spirit like Finn's to drift gently into the unknown, to begin again without losing the essence of what once made him whole. This is the quiet magic of the theory we explore tonight. That a hero's life, full of adventure and warmth, need not conclude with the final episode, with the last sunset over the Candy Kingdom. Instead, it can persist, reshaped and diffused into new beginnings, nurturing the first breaths of a new dreamer. A child whose heart is quietly emboldened by experiences never consciously remembered, whose dreams carry the faint shimmer of a world that shaped a hero long ago. And so, in the hush that follows Finn's last known steps in ooh, we can almost feel the gentle pulse of what comes next. A world that does not yet know him and yet carries the smallest, quietest echoes of his life. The end of one story is the subtle beginning of another, a continuation not written in pages or battles, but in soft whispers and unseen currents that drift across the multiverse. It is a lullaby sung across realities, a tender reminder that even when a tale seems complete, the soul behind it may still wander, dream, and awaken once more in a form entirely new. And so, as we linger in the soft aftermath of Finn's story in Ooh, it becomes clear that his journey has never truly been about endings. His life, his choices, the people he loved, and the adventures he embraced, they are all threads woven to the fabric of the universe, threads that refuse to unravel even when he steps quietly away from them. In this quiet, we begin to see that Finn's story is less a closed chapter and more a living pulse, a gentle rhythm that moves beyond the borders of time and space, ready to resurface in forms unseen and unexpected. Now, the universe in Adventure Time often feels alive in ways that mirror consciousness itself. Planets breathe, stars drift thoughtfully, and time occasionally folds in on itself as if dreaming. In such a world, a life well lived does not fade into nothingness. It lingers, a soft echo that can find its way into new beginnings. Finn, with all his curiosity, compassion, and bravery, is a soul particularly suited to this quiet migration. It is easy to imagine that when the day comes for him to leave the familiar landscapes of Ooh behind, he does not vanish, but instead drifts into the unseen currents of existence, like sunlight dissolving into the horizon only to reappear in the glow of another dawn. And here in this gentle transition lies the seed of our theory, the possibility that Finn's spirit will awaken again, not in a continuation of his old life, but as someone entirely new. A child in a different universe, unacquainted with candy kingdoms or the rolling hills of the grasslands, yet quietly infused with the essence of Finn's character. This is not reincarnation in the traditional sense, not a literal replay of past events, but a subtle, almost imperceptible inheritance of traits and inclinations. Bravery without pride, curiosity without recklessness, a soft and enduring compassion that exists without the weight of memory, a quiet echo of heroism, waiting to find its voice in a new life. We can picture this child at night, drifting into sleep, experiencing dreams that feel vivid and strangely familiar. Perhaps he sees green hills bathed in golden sunlight, a stretchy yellow dog bounding joyfully through the fields, the faint outline of a sword glimmering in the distance. These dreams are not memories he can consciously claim. They are whispers, gentle residues of a soul that has traveled far beyond the boundaries of the known world. They linger in his mind like soft music at the edge of hearing, shaping who he is in ways he cannot yet understand. The essence of Finn persists, carried delicately through the veil of sleep and imagination, ready to inspire courage, kindness, and wonder in this new incarnation. Even as this child grows, these echoes may manifest subtly. He may instinctively comfort a friend in distress, offer help to someone in need, or be drawn to adventure without fully understanding why. There is a quiet, guiding hand in these instincts, a soft nudge from the life that came before, helping him navigate the world with an unspoken wisdom. It is a gift unrecognized, a legacy not written in stories, but etched into the heart itself, the enduring imprint of a hero reborn as a dreamer. And in imagining this, we see that the quiet end of a hero is not about absence. It is about transformation. The bravest and most compassionate parts of Finn's spirit continue to move, to grow, and to influence a universe he has never seen. His story does not vanish. It folds into new spaces, waiting to bloom again in a new form. Adventure Time is full of these delicate, unseen connections, moments where time and existence are less rigid than they seem, and life is a river that bends, flows, and returns in unexpected ways. As we sit here together, lights low and blankets tucked in, we can almost feel the gentle rhythm of that continued existence. It is there in the quiet hush of Oo's post-adventure evenings, in the soft sigh of the grass, in the distant, unhurried laughter of friends remembering him. It is there in the universe itself, carrying the soft pulse of Finn's soul forward, onward, and eventually toward another beginning. So, sleepyheads, as we drift further into this tale, let us hold on to the comforting thought that heroes do not simply disappear. They continue quietly, gently, softly, in ways that are almost imperceptible, yet profoundly enduring. Finn's journey in Oo may be drawing to a close in the stories we see, but his essence is already wandering, already dreaming, already preparing to awaken in a life yet to be imagined. A life where he will dream of lands he has never walked, of friends he has never met, and yet carry within him the soft, unyielding light of all he once was. Oh, and with that thought, we begin to sense the tender mystery of what comes next, the gentle birth of a new dreamer, unknowingly guided by the echoes of a hero who once ran through the hills of Oo, sword in hand and heart wide open, ready to face the unknown. As we drift softly into the next part of our tale, let us consider what reincarnation might truly mean in the universe of Adventure Time. Not just the turning of a wheel or the repetition of life, but a subtle, almost imperceptible migration of essence. Finn's spirit, calm and patient, does not vanish with the closing of one chapter. It journeys quietly, like a whisper carried across a still lake, eventually finding a place to settle once more in a form both new and familiar. Adventure Time often plays with this idea in ways that are gentle and understated. We see echoes of souls in characters like Shoko, whose past life brushes against Finn's in fleeting, almost imperceptible ways. We see variants of Finn and other characters in alternate dimensions and timelines, reminding us that the universe is vast, full of overlapping realities, and rich with the possibilities. Prismo, the master of wishes and slumbering realities, hints again and again at the elasticity of existence, showing that identity is never strictly tied to a single world or a single lifetime. Lives ripple outward, overlapping, intertwining, sometimes crossing in ways too quiet to notice unless one listens carefully. This is the kind of universe into which Finn's essence drifts when his story in Oo softens. It is not a realm that demands immediate recognition or spectacular displays of power. Rather, it is a space designed for subtlety, for the quiet growth of a soul in a form that is free to explore and rediscover itself without the weight of prior expectations. Here, reincarnation is less about repeating past actions and more about carrying forward the emotional and spiritual currents of who someone was, gently coloring a new existence with traces of old wisdom, courage, and curiosity. We might imagine Finn's essence finding its way into a universe that is, at first, unfamiliar, yet oddly resonant. Perhaps it is a world where the light falls differently across the hills, where the wind carries unknown scents, and where creatures of all kinds live peacefully, unthreatened by apocalypse. Here the human child who will one day carry Finn's echoes awakens, warm and safe, with a quiet spark in his heart that cannot yet be named. Even without conscious memory, the child begins life with subtle intuitions that mirror Finn's past bravery and empathy, instincts that nudge him toward acts of kindness, wonder, and gentle courage. This idea of soul migration aligns beautifully with what we see in Adventure Time's quieter corners. Souls are rarely fixed. They drift, linger, and influence across the boundaries of time and space. The dead worlds are never truly lifeless. They hum with echoes of past existences. The dream realms are not simply fantasies. They are corridors, subtle and delicate, through which consciousness travels. Even time itself bends to accommodate the wandering of spirit, stretching and folding as needed to allow for growth, learning, and transformation. And in this gentle unfolding, the universe provides a form of guidance that is soft and unobtrusive. Just as Finn once wandered through dreamscapes where the cosmic owl or Prismo might guide him, the child in this new life experiences gentle nudges toward curiosity and compassion. It is as if the universe itself remembers, shaping a reality that allows Finn's essence to blossom quietly, without overwhelming the life that is just beginning. The child does not remember ooh consciously, does not wield a sword, and does not face monsters or cosmic paradoxes, but the essential qualities that defined Finn, the courage, the empathy, the playful curiosity, flow naturally into his being. We can imagine small, tender moments where this quiet inheritance manifests, a fleeting feeling of awe at a rainbow, a soft impulse to help a lost creature, a fascination with stories of adventure or bravery that feels older than his age. These are not memories, they are echoes, gentle imprints of experience carried across universes. They guide without instructing, inspire without overwhelming. They are the soft pulse of a life that once was, continuing quietly in a form that is entirely new. Adventure Time often suggests that these echoes are more powerful than we first perceive. The show reminds us that identity is not rigid. Heroes and souls leave traces of themselves in ways that ripple outward, touching lives, shaping destinies, and influencing realities in subtle but profound ways. Finn, in particular, is a character whose essence seems attuned to this rhythm. His life, though rooted in action and adventure, is also defined by reflection, empathy, and connection. These qualities are timeless, capable of flowing gently into new forms, subtly shaping the next life that carries his spirit forward. And so, as we imagine Finn's rebirth, we do not picture a straightforward replay of events or a conscious continuation of past adventures. We picture a gentle diffusion of spirit, an almost imperceptible migration of essence. It is a calm, meditative process where the hero's soul moves into the unknown with trust, carrying forward the emotional truths of a life well lived. The child in this new universe awakens, shaped in small but meaningful ways by the echoes of all that Finn once was, ready to navigate a world that is entirely new, yet strangely familiar in the tenderest of ways. In this way, reincarnation in the lands of Ooh and beyond is less about repetition and more about transformation. It is a quiet, ongoing story where endings are never absolute and beginnings are never abrupt. Finn's essence continues its journey softly, like the slow drift of clouds across a twilight sky, carrying the warmth of one life into the tender possibility of another. As Finn's essence drifts into this new universe, it carries with it a rhythm shaped by countless moments of connection, courage, and quiet reflection. Adventure Time often reminds us that the weight of experience does not vanish with the passage of time. It is absorbed, folded into the very fabric of the soul, leaving behind subtle traces that guide future existence. This new life, though untouched by the adventures of Ooh, is gently influenced by all that Finn once was. It is as if the universe whispers across dimensions, reminding the child of lessons long learned, to approach the world with curiosity, to embrace kindness without expectation, and to face the unknown with gentle courage. We can imagine the child waking on a sunlit morning, feeling a sense of wonder at the ordinary in a way that is unusual for one so young. Perhaps the rustle of leaves evokes a longing to explore, a soft thrill at the unknown. Perhaps a stranger's need sparks instinctive empathy, guiding him to offer help without hesitation or thought. These moments, small and seemingly insignificant, are the echo of a hero's life, refracted through the lens of innocence. The child does not recognize them, cannot yet name them, but they are unmistakably the lingering pulse of Finn's spirit. Dreams, in particular, may serve as a bridge between what was and what is. Adventure Time frequently portrays dreams as more than mere imagination. They are gateways, subtle and infinite, connecting consciousness across time and space. Prismo's realm, the cosmic owl's visions, and Finn's own dream journeys all hint at the profound ways that experiences can ripple outward. In this way, the child may begin to dream of ooh without understanding why. Hazy green hills, faint echoes of laughter, the soft golden glow of sunrise on familiar places never visited. These visions are memories folded into symbols, gentle nudges that shape his perceptions and guide his heart toward courage and compassion. It is important to note that reincarnation in this sense is not about replication. The child is not Finn reborn in a literal sense. He is a new being, his own person, with a fresh world to explore. Yet within him lies the distilled essence of Finn's virtues, the intangible wisdom of a life that embraced both adventure and reflection. This inheritance is delicate, almost imperceptible, and it manifests not in conscious knowledge, but in intuition, in subtle instincts that guide action and understanding. It is a soft, invisible thread connecting one existence to another, weaving past and future into the tapestry of a single soul's journey. We can imagine the child at play, naturally drawn to acts that mirror Finn's past tendencies. Perhaps he is drawn to nature, wandering through fields and forests, marveling at the life teeming around him. Perhaps he defends the small and vulnerable without thinking of heroism, simply because it feels right. These impulses, quiet as they are, form the scaffolding of a life subtly guided by the echoes of a hero long past. Adventure Time often reminds us that the universe operates with a gentle logic, one in which even the smallest gestures carry weight across time and space. In this way, Finn's spirit continues to shape the world, even when it is veiled in the soft innocence of a new beginning. There's also something profoundly comforting in imagining this migration as effortless and natural. The child does not carry a burden of past memories or the weight of expectations. Instead, he is gifted with a quiet inheritance, the courage to explore, the empathy to connect, the playful curiosity that sparks wonder in the everyday. These qualities, distilled from a life rich with experience, are subtle enough not to overwhelm, yet enduring enough to shape the contours of his unfolding existence. In this gentle way, Finn's essence persists, moving like a soft current beneath the surface of the child's consciousness, influencing without dictating, guiding without insisting. In considering all of this, we begin to see reincarnation in Adventure Time not as a rigid or linear process, but as a flowing, living rhythm. Finn's life becomes part of a larger, ongoing story, one that transcends individual timelines, worlds, and even conscious memory. His courage, kindness, and curiosity are not confined to a single body or a single lifetime. They ripple outward, touching new forms of life in ways both subtle and profound. And in the quiet heart of this child, a new journey begins, guided by impulses that feel at once innate and mysterious, shaping a world entirely his own while carrying within it the soft, enduring echo of a hero who once ran through the hills of Ooh. As the child grows, the echoes of Finn's past life continue to manifest in subtle, gentle ways. Adventure Time teaches us that the qualities of a soul are not fleeting, they persist, shaping not only the individual, but also the spaces and beings around them. In this new universe, the child might feel an inexplicable connection to certain places, drawn to lush fields, flowing rivers, or quiet, hidden groves. These are not conscious memories of ooh, nor are they reminders of past adventures. They are impressions, lingering traces of the worlds Finn once walked, now folded into the child's instincts, quietly influencing how he perceives and interacts with life. There may be moments when the child's dreams carry hints of another world, subtle glimpses of landscapes and beings that seem familiar yet cannot be named. He might awaken with a sense of longing for something he cannot quite place, a gentle tug at the edges of his imagination that guides him toward courage and curiosity. Adventure Time often portrays dreams as spaces where realities overlap, where consciousness travels beyond the limitations of physical form. In these soft, nocturnal excursions, the child begins to encounter the faint, abstract echoes of ooh, a glowing sword in the distance, the laughter of a golden dog, hints of candy-colored buildings shimmering in soft, diffuse light. These are not direct memories, but symbolic impressions, carefully folded into the tapestry of the child's mind, nurturing the growth of his spirit without burdening it with the weight of knowledge. We can imagine the child, wide-eyed in the gentle quiet of early morning, noticing patterns in the world that evoke a sense of wonder. A fallen leaf spinning in the wind may captivate him for longer than it should. A small creature in need may stir a sudden, instinctive empathy, or a simple act of kindness toward a friend may bring an almost instinctual joy. These moments, small and tender, reflect the enduring essence of Finn's life, the empathy, curiosity, and courage that defined him. Adventure Time subtly suggests that such imprints are not limited to one reality. They are capable of traveling across worlds, across time, influencing life in ways that are almost imperceptible, yet deeply meaningful. In this way, reincarnation in the Adventure Time cosmos becomes less a literal event and more an ongoing, gentle process. It is the migration of spirit, carrying forward emotional truths and character traits rather than specific memories or deeds. Finn's essence does not impose itself upon the child, nor does it dictate his actions. It offers a soft, guiding presence, a quiet pulse beneath the surface of consciousness, shaping the child's instincts and intuitions in ways that feel entirely natural. The child is free to grow, explore, and define himself. Yet he carries the invisible legacy of a hero who once roamed the hills of Ooh with a sword in hand and an open heart. This inheritance is particularly poignant when we consider how Adventure Time handles the concept of identity and continuity. The show frequently blurs the lines between worlds, timelines, and forms of existence. Characters are rarely confined to a single path, and the universe itself is flexible, pliant, capable of accommodating endless variations of life and consciousness. Finn, with his deep empathy, boundless curiosity, and enduring courage, is a soul perfectly attuned to this kind of universe. His life, rich with experience and moral insight, can seamlessly integrate into new forms of existence, reshaping itself without losing its essence. We might also imagine the universe subtly supporting this transition. Small coincidences, gentle signs, and comforting patterns may guide the child, nudging him toward experiences that cultivate bravery, empathy, and curiosity. These are not interventions or acts of fate, but rather the natural resonance of a multiverse attuned to the rhythm of a wandering soul. The child does not question why he feels drawn to certain paths or compelled toward certain acts of kindness. He simply experiences them as though they have always been part of him, quietly guided by the pulse of Finn's enduring spirit. Even as the child continues to grow, these echoes shape his perception of the world. He may sense the joy of friendship more acutely, respond to moments of injustice with instinctive compassion, or feel a subtle courage in the face of the unknown. Adventure Time's universe is vast, but it is also deeply interconnected. A hero's life leaves imprints not just in memory, but in the very threads of reality itself. Finn's journey does not end in ooh. It diffuses outward, carrying the essence of his character into new beginnings, where it continues to nurture wonder, courage, and empathy in ways that are quietly transformative. And so, in the lands of this new universe, Finn's spirit moves softly, imperceptibly, like a gentle breeze brushing across the surface of a still lake. It guides without demanding, shapes without commanding, and inspires without overt recognition. Reincarnation, in this sense, is not a replay, but a transformation, a subtle weaving of one life's essence into the emergence of another. Adventure Time's expansive cosmos allows for these delicate migrations, reminding us that endings are rarely final, and beginnings are rarely empty. Finn's essence persists, drifting quietly through time and space, settling gently into a child who will one day dream of worlds he has never seen, carrying within him the enduring pulse of a hero who once roamed the hills of Ooh. And so the child's life begins quietly, like the first brush of dawn over a still horizon. There is no fanfare, no heralding trumpet to announce the arrival of a soul with the weight of past heroism. Instead, there is a gentle awakening, a soft opening of the heart to the possibilities of a new existence. Adventure Time teaches us that such awakenings are not accidents. They are subtle, deliberate currents flowing through the universe, carrying the essence of lives that once were and gently weaving them into lives yet to come. The echoes of Finn's spirit do not manifest all at once. They are slow, layered, unfolding in quiet moments that feel ordinary but are quietly extraordinary. A feeling of awe at a firefly drifting in the twilight, an unspoken desire to protect a small, vulnerable creature, the natural inclination to comfort those in distress. These are small ripples of a soul carried forward across realities. They are not memories, they are impressions, faint pulses of character and essence that resonate within the child's consciousness, shaping the gentle architecture of his moral and emotional being. In this way, reincarnation is more than simply a continuation of life. It is a passing of the quiet, essential truths of a soul from one existence to the next. Finn's courage is transformed into instinctive bravery, his empathy into unspoken compassion, his curiosity into a gentle wonder at the world around him. The child moves through life with these subtle influences embedded deep within him, never knowing why he feels drawn to certain paths, why certain choices feel natural, or why dreams sometimes carry landscapes and figures that do not belong to his current life. It is a soft inheritance, delicate enough not to overwhelm, yet powerful enough to shape his development in profound ways. And the dreams themselves are where this inheritance takes its most mysterious and beautiful form. Adventure Time often portrays dreams as thresholds, gentle corridors through which consciousness can move between realities, or where one life's essence can brush against another. In these dreams, the child begins to glimpse fragments of a world that is not his own, soft green hills under golden light, the distant laugh of a dog who seems to stretch and twist in impossible ways, faint glimmers of candy-colored spires and winding streets. These images are not literal memories, and they are not tied to expectation or obligation. They are gentle echoes, like a soft melody that stirs the soul without demanding recognition. These nocturnal glimpses seep quietly into waking life, influencing how the child engages with the world. He may wander into nature with a sense of joy and curiosity that feels innate. He may approach friendships with a generosity of spirit that seems older than his age. He may feel a calm courage when encountering challenges, an instinctive willingness to act without overthinking, guided by an invisible hand shaped by a life long past. In Adventure Time, the universe is never rigid, and the influence of a hero's essence can be gentle yet profound, touching the lives of others in ways that are subtle but deeply resonant. The child's growing consciousness thus becomes a delicate blend of the new and the inherited. He is fully himself, yet he carries within him the distilled essence of Finn, the hero who once ran across Ooh with wide-eyed wonder and open-hearted bravery. This duality is not conflictual, it is harmonious. Adventure Time often emphasizes that life is layered, that identity is never singular, and that existence can hold multiple truths simultaneously. The child is an entirely new life, yet he embodies a quiet continuation of what made Finn remarkable. He will learn, explore, and grow in his own way, yet the soft pulse of the hero spirit will continue to guide him, gently and imperceptibly. And so, as we close this segment and linger on the edges of this new beginning, we can feel the comforting rhythm of existence stretching outward. Finn's life in Ooh has drawn to a gentle close, but his essence persists, carried across the currents of reality, and now resting softly within a new being. Adventure Time reminds us that endings are rarely absolute, that lives ripple outward, influencing more than they themselves can perceive. Reincarnation here is less about repeating a life and more about preserving the heart of one, a heart capable of courage, compassion, and curiosity, and allowing it to flourish again in new forms, in new worlds, in quiet ways that are almost imperceptible, yet deeply transformative. The universe holds infinite possibilities, and in the tender hush that follows Finn's life, his spirit moves silently, preparing the next chapter. A chapter that will unfold not in Ooh, not among familiar friends and familiar landscapes, but in a world entirely new, where a child will awaken with dreams that feel strangely familiar, instincts that are quietly heroic, and a heart that already carries the soft glow of a life once lived fully, wholly, and kindly. This is the gentle magic of reincarnation in Adventure Time, a soft, enduring echo, guiding a new existence with subtlety, grace, and the timeless pulse of a hero who never truly leaves the world behind. As we continue to drift through our story tonight, let us turn our attention to the awakening of a new life. The child who now carries the gentle echo of Finn's spirit opens his eyes to a universe that is soft, unhurried, and yet subtly infused with the residue of a hero's essence. This is a world untouched by apocalyptic adventures, untouched by candy kingdoms or distant volcanoes. It is quiet, calm, and full of potential, and it awaits the gentle unfolding of a soul that has already wandered far beyond it. From the very beginning, this child's dreams are unusual. They do not belong entirely to him, and yet they feel deeply personal, as if the threads of another life have woven themselves into the soft fabric of his consciousness. He may awaken from a nap with the faint sensation of wide green fields stretching endlessly under golden sunlight. Perhaps he remembers, though not consciously, the distant laughter of a dog, playful and stretching in impossible ways. Or maybe he glimpses candy-colored towers in the corner of his mind, structures he has never physically seen, yet they evoke a strange, soothing familiarity. These dreams are not frightening or confusing, they are tender, almost lullaby-like, carrying within them a subtle sense of wonder and calm. Adventure Time often suggests that dreams are more than imagination. They are corridors through which consciousness can travel, spaces where past, present, and future coexist in soft, overlapping layers. In these quiet, dreamlike moments, the child begins to encounter the echoes of Ooh, though he does not know the name of the land or the beings that inhabit it. He senses a pulse of life, a warmth of connection, and an innate curiosity that pulls him gently toward exploration. It is in these early dream-woven experiences that Finn's spirit begins to guide this new existence without the child even realizing it. These dreams leave impressions that ripple into the child's waking life. He may find himself inexplicably drawn to wide-open fields or quiet forests, feeling a joy in their exploration that he cannot yet articulate. He may feel a calm courage when encountering the unknown, a readiness to face challenges without fear or hesitation. Adventure Time teaches us that a hero's essence does not need a sword or a quest to manifest. It manifests in the quiet, instinctive choices that shape a life filled with empathy, curiosity, and subtle bravery. The child embodies these qualities naturally, though they are not consciously recognized or named. They are inherited as a gentle, guiding rhythm, flowing beneath the surface of his awareness. The child may also experience fleeting sensations that feel like déjà vu. A stream he visits may remind him of something long past. A particular pattern of clouds may evoke a sense of familiarity, or the laughter of a friend may stir a warm, comforting feeling that he cannot explain. These moments are the soft traces of Finn's essence, gently nudging him toward experiences and connections that resonate with the hero's own values. Adventure Time often emphasizes that identity is layered and fluid, and in this way, the child's sense of self begins to intertwine with the inherited echoes of a life lived fully, bravely, and kindly. There is a profound tenderness in imagining these early experiences. The child is fully himself, yet the lingering pulse of Finn's spirit quietly shapes his interaction, his impulses, and his perceptions. He may instinctively comfort a crying friend, explore a mysterious sound in the woods, or offer help without being prompted. These are the subtle manifestations of a soul's continuity, a gentle inheritance of emotional and moral truths rather than explicit memories or knowledge. Adventure Time's universe is expansive and flexible, capable of accommodating these subtle migrations of essence, allowing a hero's heart to continue shaping the world even in forms entirely new. And yet these experiences are not always easy to understand. The child may feel restless at times, stirred by dreams that seem just out of reach, landscapes that feel familiar but remain undefined, and a quiet longing that he cannot name. It is a subtle tension, gentle but persistent, drawing him to explore, to question, and to seek without ever demanding comprehension. Adventure Time often explores the interplay between curiosity and uncertainty, showing that growth and understanding arise from gentle exploration rather than forceful control. In this way, the child's life mirrors Finn's own journey, not in events, but in the rhythm of discovery, wonder, and emotional resonance. Even the smallest interactions in this new life carry the quiet weight of inherited essence. A bird perched on a branch may inspire fascination. A puddle of water may become a mirror to contemplate the world, or a friend's story may stir instinctive empathy. These impulses, quiet and tender, are the subtle imprint of a life once lived in ooh, guiding the child toward acts of bravery, compassion, and curiosity without overt instruction. It is a soft, enduring echo, a gentle rhythm shaping the contours of consciousness and morality, quietly influencing how the child perceives himself and the world around him. As this new universe awakens around him, the child grows within it, guided by both his own experiences and the soft pulse of Finn's lingering spirit. He is free to explore, to learn, and to define himself entirely. Yet he carries within him the distilled essence of heroism, compassion, and wonder. Adventure Time suggests that life is never strictly linear, and that the threads of one existence can subtly shape another, creating a continuity that is less about repetition and more about resonance. The child is not Finn reborn in the literal sense. He is a new being, and yet the echoes of of courage, kindness, and curiosity, flow quietly within him, shaping his growth in imperceptible but profound ways. And so, in this universe, the child begins to awaken fully. He may not understand the dreams that visit him at night, or the instincts that guide him by day, but he senses a strange familiarity, a soft reassurance that he is known and safe. Adventure Time teaches that the universe holds these quiet truths, and that souls do not vanish but transform, migrate, and continue. In this gentle awakening, Finn's essence finds a new life, a soft beginning filled with possibility, wonder, and the quiet pulse of a hero who once ran across with wide eye, an open heart, and the courage to face the unknown. As the child drifts further into his early days, the dreams that visit him become more vivid, though still soft and elusive. They are not nightmares or startling visions, but gentle corridors of imagination, landscapes filled with colors and shapes that feel strangely alive. He may see a river winding through a bright, grassy valley, or a stretch of mountains bathed in warm sunlight, and the feeling these scenes evoke is not just curiosity, it is recognition, deep and unspoken. Adventure Time often reminds us that the boundaries between worlds are thin, and that consciousness can ripple across time and space. In these moments, Finn's essence gently brushes against the child's own developing spirit, leaving traces of wisdom, courage, and empathy that cannot be consciously recalled, but are profoundly felt. Sometimes the child wakes with a lingering sense of longing, a small ache that is neither sad nor painful, but quiet and insistent. Perhaps he glimpses a golden light on the horizon in his dream and feels inexplicably drawn toward it. Perhaps he hears the faint echo of laughter, playful and warm, stirring an unnameable joy within him. These sensations are the soft whispers of a hero's life long past, now guiding a new consciousness toward experiences that will cultivate bravery, kindness, and curiosity. Adventure Time often portrays such threads as invisible yet essential, shaping destiny without forcing it, offering guidance without demanding understanding. The child's interactions with the world begin to reflect these subtle inheritances. He may feel an instinctive draw toward creatures in need, a quiet urge to explore the unfamiliar, or a gentle patience when observing the rhythms of life around him. These impulses are not taught, nor are they consciously learned. They are inherent, flowing from the quiet pulse of Finn's spirit within him. Adventure Time frequently emphasizes that heroism is not only about grand gestures or legendary feats, but about small, consistent acts of courage and empathy. In this way, the child begins to embody these qualities naturally, as though they are as essential to his being as the air he breathes or the sunlight on his face. Dreams continue to act as a subtle bridge between worlds. The child may encounter abstract landscapes that hint at though they are never fully formed or recognized. Perhaps a winding forest leads to a hill with an impossibly large tree, or a distant mountain shimmers with golden light in a way that evokes warmth and comfort. The child does not name these places, does not consciously understand them, yet he experiences a sense of safety and wonder. Adventure Time often shows us that such experiences are formative, shaping character and perception without the interference of conscious memory. Finn's essence, now folded into the child's soul, guides him gently toward a life filled with curiosity, empathy, and the soft courage to engage with the unknown. Even the smallest, seemingly ordinary moments in the child's daily life are quietly influenced by these inherited echoes. A fallen leaf may captivate him longer than expected. A bird's song may spark fascination and joy, or an act of kindness toward a peer may feel instinctively right. These moments, subtle as they are the threads of continuity connecting past and future, life and essence. Adventure Time often reminds us that the universe is alive in the quietest ways, that even imperceptible actions and feelings carry weight across time and space. The child, shaped in part by Finn's enduring spirit, moves through the world with a gentle rhythm of thought and feeling that mirrors the hero's own heart. And so as the child grows within this new universe, he begins to develop a soft, unspoken understanding of courage and connection. He does not yet wield a sword, and he does not face cosmic monsters, but he navigates the world with a sense of empathy and curiosity that is already heroic in its own quiet way. Adventure Time's universe is expansive and flexible, allowing for these subtle forms of heroism to emerge naturally, as if the pulse of a previous life continues to breathe within him. Each dream, each instinctive gesture, each fleeting moment of wonder strengthens the continuity of spirit, preparing the child for experiences that will one day awaken even deeper echoes of Finn's legacy. In this tender, unfolding process, we see the gentle magic of reincarnation in Adventure Time. Finn's essence persists, softly shaping a new life, guiding a young soul without overwhelming it, and embedding the quiet, enduring qualities of a hero into the child's heart. The universe itself seems to recognize and nurture this continuity, providing spaces, experiences, and dreams that allow courage, empathy, and curiosity to flourish. The child's awakening is therefore not abrupt or dramatic, but gradual, calm, and profoundly transformative, guided by echoes that are felt more than remembered, experienced more than understood, and carried gently forward into the soft light of a new world. As the child continues to grow, these quiet, dream-infused impulses begin to weave themselves into waking life in increasingly noticeable ways. He may find himself instinctively seeking out the unfamiliar, drawn to explore a hidden grove or follow the sound of a rushing stream. These are not random curiosities, but subtle echoes of Finn's adventurous spirit, carried gently across universes. Adventure Time often reminds us that the spirit of heroism is not always grand or visible. Sometimes it is quiet, almost imperceptible, existing in the instincts that guide us toward acts of kindness, courage, and discovery. The dreams persist, and with each night they seem to deepen, layering themselves like soft brushstrokes upon the child's consciousness. A tree with impossible branches, a playful dog of golden hue, a sword glinting faintly in distant light. All of these images appear not as memories, but as feeling, as impressions, as gentle calls toward wonder and empathy. They are tender fragments of a world he has never known, yet they resonate within him with the comfort of something deeply familiar. Adventure Time often suggests that dreams are portals, not just to imagination, but to continuity, allowing experiences and essences to ripple between lives and realities in ways both subtle and profound. In daily life, these echoes continue to manifest in ways that are almost imperceptible, yet profoundly meaningful. He may feel a spontaneous empathy for someone in distress, an instinctive courage when faced with uncertainty, or a deep fascination with the mysteries of the world around him. Adventure Time teaches us that heroism is not always measured by grand feats, but by the quiet, consistent choices made from the heart. The child, without understanding why, begins to embody these choices naturally. He carries within him the moral and emotional imprint of Finn's life, flowing seamlessly into actions that feel intuitive, effortless, and entirely his own. There are moments when these instincts become more pronounced, when the child's empathy or curiosity guides him toward decisions that surprise even him. Perhaps he rescues a small animal from danger without thinking twice, or he comforts a friend whose tears he cannot yet fully understand. Adventure Time often emphasizes that such instinctive acts are as heroic as any grand adventure, and in this way, Finn's essence shapes a new life without imposing, teaching without instructing, and guiding without demanding. The child's experiences are entirely his own, yet they carry the invisible pulse of a hero long past, influencing him in ways both subtle and transformative. And then there are the nights when the dreams become almost tangible, as if the veil between worlds thins ever so slightly. The child may see entire landscapes, fields bathed in warm light, candy-colored buildings shimmering in the or the unmistakable silhouette of a heroic figure running across hills he has never physically traversed. These dreams are quiet and calm, never frightening, and they leave him with a sense of longing and recognition he cannot name. Adventure Time frequently portrays such moments as the universe's gentle reminder that existence is layered, that life and spirit are not bound by the limits of a single world, and that even when memories fade, the essence of one life can carry forward into another. The child may awaken from these dreams with a feeling of soft awe, an unspoken yearning to explore, and an intuitive understanding of empathy and courage. He does not recall explicitly, nor does he know the name of the world or its inhabitants, but he feels the resonance of all that Finn once was. Adventure Time shows us that identity and essence are malleable, capable of migrating across realities, and that the qualities that defined a hero can reemerge in a new form without requiring conscious memory or recognition. Finn's spirit, now folded delicately into the child, continues to shape behavior, influence choices, and inspire growth, quietly guiding the next life without overshadowing it. Even in ordinary moments, the child's actions reflect the echoes of a hero. He may approach a new challenge with calm confidence, show patience and kindness in the face of difficulty, or respond to beauty in the world with an unhurried wonder that feels innate. These are the small, enduring manifestations of a life well lived, carried forward not as a story to be remembered, but as a pulse of courage and empathy embedded within the child's being. Adventure Time often reminds us that such subtleties are profound, that the true influence of a hero lies not in the grandness of their deeds, but in the persistence of their spirit across time and space. And so in this awakening, the child begins to navigate his universe with a quiet guidance that feels almost like instinct. The dreams that do not belong to him continue to weave a tapestry of wonder and connection, while the impulses shaped by Finn's essence allow him to act with bravery, kindness, and curiosity in the waking world. Adventure Time teaches us that life is rarely linear, that beginnings are often tender and slow, and that the threads of one existence can influence another in ways that are gentle yet profound. The child moves through his days with a quiet, unspoken heroism, guided by the soft, enduring pulse of a spirit that once ran freely across the hills of carrying within it the warmth, courage, and heart of all that life embodied. As the child continues to grow, the influence of Finn's spirit becomes increasingly nuanced, a quiet undercurrent shaping his perceptions, choices, and feelings without ever demanding attention. Adventure Time often reminds us that the essence of a life is not defined solely by events, but by the emotional and moral currents that flow through it. In this new existence, the child embodies these currents naturally, carrying within him the soft wisdom of courage, empathy, and wonder, even when he cannot yet articulate what compels him toward certain actions or experiences. There are moments when the child feels inexplicable excitement at the prospect of exploration. A forest path, a winding creek, or even the unknown stretch of a quiet park may spark a thrill that is more than mere curiosity. It is a resonance, a subtle echo of Finn's adventurous heart, flowing quietly through the child's instincts. Adventure Time shows us that such impulses are significant. They are the universe's way of preserving and passing forward the qualities that define a hero. The child is unaware of the source, yet the pull is undeniable, guiding him toward experiences that will shape his understanding of bravery and connection. The dreams that visit him at night deepen this influence, becoming tender, almost poetic landscapes of potential. He may see a dog stretching in impossible ways, reminiscent of Jake, bounding across soft fields of light and shadow. Candy-colored towers shimmer faintly on the horizon, and distant mountains hold a warmth that evokes safety and wonder. These visions do not frighten him, nor do they demand recognition. Instead, they plant seeds of intuition and creativity, shaping the child's perception of the world as a place of possibility, connection, and gentle adventure. Adventure Time often frames dreams as more than imagination. They are bridges, subtle pathways through which essence and experience ripple across realities, influencing lives in soft, almost imperceptible ways. Even in ordinary waking moments, Finn's echo manifests in gestures both small and profound. The child may instinctively help a stranger, comfort a friend, or notice the quiet distress of an animal. He may approach challenges with calm courage, not because he understands heroism, but because the impulse to act rightly has been woven into his being. Adventure Time repeatedly demonstrates that heroism is as much about moral instinct and empathy as it is about grand quests. In this way, the child embodies the essence of Finn without ever knowing the details of his past life, allowing courage and kindness to flourish naturally and without strain. There are times when the child awakens from dreams with a lingering feeling of familiarity, as if he has glimpsed a world that is simultaneously unknown and intimately his own. A hill bathed in golden light, the echo of playful laughter, or the glint of a distant sword may leave him with a sense of longing that is gentle, comforting, and quietly insistent. These sensations are the soft whispers of Finn's past, guiding the child's imagination and intuition, helping him navigate life with a gentle, unspoken moral compass. Adventure Time shows us that such guidance does not require conscious awareness. It simply exists, quietly shaping character and perception in ways that are enduring and profound. The child's play and exploration reflect this subtle inheritance. He may climb trees with a fearless curiosity, follow the path of a river with quiet fascination, or create stories and games imbued with empathy and imagination. Adventure Time often emphasizes the importance of these formative, everyday experiences, illustrating that the essence of a hero is nurtured not only through grand adventures, but also through the accumulation of small acts of courage, creativity, and compassion. In these simple, tender moments, Finn's spirit continues to live on, folding gently into the child's developing identity. Even the child's responses to challenge or uncertainty are shaped by echoes of Finn's courage. He may face moments of fear or doubt with a quiet resilience, guided by instincts inherited from a life that once faced impossible odds with an open heart. Adventure Time frequently explores the interplay between fear and bravery, showing that true courage often manifests in the willingness to act despite uncertainty, guided by empathy and moral clarity. In this sense, the child's instinctive heroism is not imitation. It is a continuation, a soft and natural unfolding of the qualities that defined Finn's spirit. And so the child navigates this new universe with the quiet presence of a soul shaped by a lifelong past. Dreams continue to paint his nights with soft, luminous landscapes of wonder and possibility. Instincts guide his days with gentle courage and empathy. Adventure Time's universe allows for this subtle continuity, reminding us that lives do not end abruptly, that essence can migrate across realities, and that the qualities that define a hero can persist, quietly shaping new experiences and new beings. Finn's spirit has found a new beginning, nestled within the child's consciousness, guiding him toward curiosity, kindness, and bravery without ever demanding recognition. It is a presence that is felt more than remembered, experienced more than understood, and carried softly forward into a world of infinite possibility. And with this understanding, we begin to sense the first threads of influence that will shape the child's reality in ways both tangible and dreamlike, gently leading into the next chapter of this story, where Finn's essence begins to interact with the child's waking experiences and the universe around him in ever more profound ways. As we settle into this next part of our story, and let us linger in the quiet spaces between waking and dreaming, where the faint traces of one life can touch another. The child who carries Finn's essence is beginning to awaken more fully to the subtle currents of the world, to the gentle rhythms of experience that are infused with echoes of a life once lived in the hills, forests, and skies of Ooh. It is here, in these soft intersections of memory and existence, that we begin to see how the soul of a hero can ripple outward, quietly shaping perception, behavior, and understanding across lifetimes. Adventure Time teaches us that memory is not bound to conscious recall alone. It lingers in subtler forms, in instincts, intuition, and the heart's quiet inclinations. Even though the child cannot consciously remember Ooh, the echoes of Finn's life appear in small, almost imperceptible ways. He may feel drawn to certain patterns in nature, or linger with fascination over objects and creatures that seem to call to him without explanation. A river flowing over smooth stones might captivate him for longer than necessary. A tree's shadow may evoke a strange sense of comfort, or the laughter of a friend may resonate in a way that feels familiar yet indefinable. Adventure Time often emphasizes that the universe preserves more than what can be directly seen. It carries forward essence, emotional resonance, and moral truths, allowing memory to persist in forms that are gentle, intuitive, and profoundly influential. The dreams that continue to visit him at night deepen this continuity. They are not nightmares nor fantastical adventures designed to thrill. They are soft, meditative experiences filled with landscapes and presences that feel both otherworldly and intimately familiar. He may glimpse rolling green hills, distant mountains bathed in warm sunlight, or a golden dog stretching and bounding in ways that defy physical form. Candy-colored towers glimmer faintly on the horizon, just out of reach, while streams of light dance across hills in a manner that evokes safety, wonder, and possibility. These are not direct memories of awe, but impressions shaped by the rhythm and heart of a life once lived. Adventure Time suggests that such impressions are subtle, yet transformative, allowing the qualities of one existence to influence another without conscious effort or understanding. Even in waking life, these echoes manifest in ways that guide the child toward acts of quiet heroism. He may instinctively comfort a friend in distress, approach a challenge with calm courage, or explore unknown spaces with a curiosity that feels natural rather than learned. Adventure Time frequently portrays heroism as a combination of courage, empathy, and curiosity. In this way, Finn's essence subtly weaves itself into the child's developing consciousness, shaping responses, moral instincts, and emotional understanding. It is a soft inheritance, felt rather than known, guiding behavior without demanding recognition or awareness. Memory, in this sense, is more than a recollection of past events. It is a living, dynamic force. The child's experiences are shaped not by explicit knowledge of ooh, but by the emotional and moral imprints left by Finn's life. Adventure Time teaches that the universe allows for these delicate continuities, where the heart of one being can ripple outward into another life, influencing perception, reaction, and understanding in ways both subtle and profound. The child may not know why he feels drawn to certain actions or places, but the impulses are rooted in a past that continues to live on through the quiet persistence of essence. Dreams often act as bridges where these echoes become most vivid. The child may encounter landscapes and beings that feel familiar even though they have never been consciously experienced. A hill bathed in soft golden light, a forest alive with the gentle rustle of leaves, a distant, playful laugh. These images carry emotional resonance, shaping the child's intuition and guiding him toward empathy, courage, and wonder. Adventure Time shows that such echoes are not limited by time or space. They can manifest in any form, influencing the unfolding of a life in gentle, meaningful ways. Even ordinary interactions are quietly shaped by this lingering memory. The child may instinctively approach a stranger in need, show patience during moments of difficulty, or notice the small, tender details of life with heightened awareness. These moments, subtle as they are, reflect the enduring qualities of Finn's spirit, his empathy, his bravery, his curiosity, and they guide the child toward a life that resonates with the values of a hero without requiring conscious awareness. Adventure Time often emphasizes that these quiet threads of influence are as significant as any grand adventure, shaping lives in ways that are gentle, consistent, and deeply meaningful. In the soft light of everyday life, the child's choices and perceptions are infused with this invisible guidance. He may find joy in exploring, comfort in helping others, and courage in facing the unknown, all without understanding why these inclinations arise so naturally. Adventure Time reminds us that memory and essence can persist beyond the physical boundaries of life, shaping future experiences through subtle resonance rather than explicit recollection. Finn's life, though concluded in O, continues to breathe softly through the child, a guiding pulse that informs thought, feeling, and action in quiet, profound ways. And so, as we settle into the gentle rhythm of this new existence, we begin to see how memory lingers beyond lifetimes. It is not a burden or a shadow, but a soft, enduring presence, woven into the child's consciousness like a delicate thread of light. Adventure Time frequently explores these ideas, showing that essence and spirit are never confined to a single form or a single time. They move, shift, and ripple across realities, carrying forward the emotional truths, moral guidance, and quiet courage of lives that have been fully lived. Finn's presence in this new child's world is not a ghost or a memory in the conventional sense. It is a living, breathing echo, guiding, shaping, and nurturing without ever demanding recognition. As the child moves through his days, the echoes of ooh begin to weave themselves into the quiet fabric of his experiences. Adventure Time often reminds us that the universe has a rhythm, one that allows lives to resonate beyond the constraints of time and memory. In the child's actions, these subtle ripples of Finn's spirit become visible in ways that feel entirely natural. He may be drawn to explore hidden nooks in the garden, follow the meandering path of a creek, or linger in a sunlit field, marveling at the way the light plays across the grass. These are not conscious recollections. They are instincts, quiet pullings of the soul, guiding him toward wonder, curiosity, and gentle courage. The child's interactions with others are shaped in much the same way. He may instinctively comfort a friend who is sad, help a small creature in distress, or approach a problem with a calm, thoughtful patience that seems almost innate. Adventure Time often shows us that heroism is defined not by grand gestures alone, but by consistent, compassionate action. The child embodies these qualities without thought or planning, the echo of Finn's life flowing quietly through him, shaping the rhythm of his days and coloring the ways he relates to the world. It is a soft, invisible inheritance, felt rather than understood, shaping the architecture of his emerging identity. Even the child's imagination begins to reflect the faint outlines of Ooh. He may invent fantastical landscapes, populated by creatures both strange and wondrous, where light glimmers in unusual ways and colors bend softly, almost dreamlike. Adventure Time demonstrates that imagination is not only a form of play, but a vessel for memory, emotion, and essence. In these invented worlds, the child is unconsciously retracing the patterns of Finn's adventures, exploring the same qualities of bravery, empathy, and curiosity that once defined a hero, now reinterpreted in the playful logic of a child's mind. Dreams and imagination merge gently, forming a bridge where the spirit of a life long past can continue to inspire and shape new experiences. There are moments when the child's sense of timing and intuition feels uncanny. He may sense danger before it appears, know the right moment to act in a game with friends, or feel the precise way to calm someone who is upset. Adventure Time often illustrates that such instincts are traces of experience and essence, subtly guiding a being through the world without conscious instruction. In these quiet, almost magical moments, the child's life is shaped by a rhythm that transcends the visible, carrying forward the moral and emotional truths of Finn's existence in ways that are gentle yet profound. Even in stillness, the child feels the echoes of Ooh. A quiet afternoon spent watching sunlight ripple across a pond, a gentle breeze stirring the leaves of a tree, or the distant hum of evening insects may evoke a soft, ineffable sense of connection. Adventure Time shows us that these moments are not accidental. The universe preserves and transmits essence across forms and lives, allowing memory to exist not as a burden, but as a guiding presence, shaping perception, feeling, and interaction in ways that are almost imperceptible, yet deeply resonant. The child experiences the world with a quiet attentiveness, a sensitivity and wonder that are reflections of a hero who once moved through O with curiosity, courage, and an open heart. The influence of Finn's spirit is also evident in the child's developing sense of morality. He may instinctively recognize injustice, respond to suffering with empathy, and seek to create harmony in his small world. Adventure Time frequently explores the idea that morality is as much about feeling as it is about conscious understanding. The child does not need to know the lessons of Ooh consciously. He carries their essence within him. Choices that align with kindness, bravery, and compassion arise naturally, guided by instincts inherited from a life that has already learned the rhythms of heroism. These echoes of memory are quiet, subtle, and deeply formative, shaping character and experience in ways that are enduring. And so, as the child's universe unfolds, he begins to navigate life with a delicate balance of curiosity, empathy, and instinctive courage. Adventure Time reminds us that these qualities, once cultivated, ripple outward, touching every experience and every interaction. The memories of Oo, though not consciously held, linger in the soft currents of his being, guiding him toward wonder, exploration, and connection. Finn's essence is no longer confined to a single world or a single life. It moves through the child with grace and subtlety, shaping his reality in quiet, profound ways, and preparing him for experiences that will awaken even deeper echoes of heroism, creativity, and imagination in the chapters of life that lie ahead. As the child moves through the unfolding days of his life, the presence of Finn's spirit becomes an almost imperceptible, yet profoundly steady current. Adventure Time often reminds us that memory and essence do not always manifest in vivid flashes or clear recollection. Instead, they live in the quiet, almost invisible rhythms of behavior, in instinctive reactions, and in the gentle shaping of perception. The child may not know why he feels drawn to explore a secluded grove or why he pauses to watch the subtle movements of a stream, but these actions are guided by the echo of a life that once embraced wonder, courage, and empathy in every step. Sometimes a moment will arrive when the child acts with a confidence that seems to come from nowhere, a calm decisiveness that feels almost as if it belongs to someone else. Perhaps he instinctively helps a small animal trapped in an unusual place, or comforts a friend whose sadness he cannot yet fully comprehend. These instances are quiet demonstrations of inherited instinct, moral intuition, and a gentle courage that mirrors the qualities Finn embodied. Adventure Time often portrays heroism in these understated forms, reminding us that the legacy of a life is carried not only through memory, but also through the choices and impulses that shape a soul's actions. The child's imagination also becomes a rich canvas upon which the echoes of Oo begin to paint subtle patterns. Playtime is no longer simply amusement. It is a space where instinct, dream, and inherited essence merge. He may invent fantastical landscapes with rivers that twist like ribbons of light, hills that rise impossibly high, and creatures that stretch and transform in ways that defy ordinary logic. Adventure Time often emphasizes the importance of imaginative exploration as a vessel for emotional and moral continuity. Within these imaginative landscapes, the child is not consciously replaying Finn's adventures, but the core qualities of heroism, curiosity, empathy, and courage emerge naturally, guiding the shape and tone of his play. Even ordinary, mundane experiences are colored by the lingering echoes of Oo. A walk through the neighborhood may reveal hidden wonders to the child. A cluster of flowers swaying in the breeze, a bird calling across rooftops, or sunlight filtering through trees in patterns that evoke comfort and familiarity. Adventure Time frequently highlights the quiet magic embedded in everyday life, suggesting that the persistence of essence can make the ordinary extraordinary. Finn's spirit, carried subtly within the child, sensitizes him to these moments, encouraging a sense of awe, mindfulness, and connection that transcends conscious understanding. The child also begins to show an intuitive understanding of relationships and social harmony. He may notice a peer's discomfort without a word being spoken, or sense the unspoken needs of someone nearby. Adventure Time reminds us that empathy and moral intuition are forms of knowledge that do not require conscious memory. They are carried in the heart, embedded within the soul, and expressed through instinctive action. Finn's life, filled with moral courage and deep empathy, continues to shape the child's responses, allowing him to navigate social and emotional landscapes with a grace that feels entirely natural, yet is deeply informed by the echo of past experience. Dreams continue to serve as gentle bridges between this new universe and the world of ooh. In sleep, the child encounters hills, rivers, distant mountains, and creatures that seem alive with quiet intelligence. He may see a dog stretching impossibly, a candy-colored structure glimmering faintly in soft light, or a sword resting calmly on a hilltop. These images are not direct memories, nor are they invitations to action. They are subtle impressions that carry emotional resonance, reinforcing the child's intuition, guiding curiosity, and nurturing courage. Adventure Time teaches that these experiences, though fleeting and abstract, are formative, allowing the essence of a life to persist and influence a new one in ways both tender and profound. Through this slow unfolding, the child's sense of self begins to blend harmoniously with the echoes of Finn's spirit. Adventure Time often suggests that identity is layered, fluid, and capable of carrying forward qualities from lives that have ended. The child is entirely new, yet he embodies qualities that transcend his personal history: bravery, empathy, and an openness to wonder. These qualities manifest naturally in his interactions, play, exploration, and moral choices, forming a soft, enduring guidance that prepares him for the first conscious stirrings of heroism in his waking life. Even when the child is still alone with his thoughts, or quietly observing the world around him, Finn's essence whispers in the rhythms of perception and feeling. He may feel a gentle pull toward curiosity, a patient courage in facing minor challenges, or a deep sense of connection to the living world around him. Adventure Time illustrates that the persistence of essence is less about conscious remembrance and more about subtle influence, the kind that shapes choices, colors perception, and nurtures the quiet emergence of heroism. In this way, memory, spirit, and experience flow together seamlessly, linking lifetimes and worlds in a rhythm that is both tender and profound. And so as we linger on this moment, we begin to see how Finn's life continues to breathe quietly through the child's existence. The dreams, instincts, and intuitive responses are not memories in the traditional sense, but they carry forward the heart of a hero, softly guiding the child through exploration, play, empathy, and courage. Adventure Time reminds us that lives are rarely confined to a single world or time, that essence can ripple gently across realities, and that the qualities that define a life well lived, curiosity, bravery, and compassion, can persist beyond death, influencing new beginnings in profound and subtle ways. The child moves forward in this universe, guided by a presence he cannot yet name, yet which shapes the very rhythm of his days, the contours of his imagination, and the quiet emergence of the hero he is destined to become. As the child grows, these subtle echoes of ooh continue to shape the rhythm of his life, threading through each ordinary day like a gentle, persistent current. Adventure Time often reminds us that the influence of a life once lived is not always immediate or dramatic. Rather, it moves quietly through perception, instinct, and emotion, shaping the way a soul interacts with the world without ever demanding attention. The child does not consciously recall ooh, yet he carries within him the distilled essence of Finn, the courage, empathy, and curiosity that once defined a hero woven gently into his very being. There are times when this inheritance manifests in moments of instinctive bravery. He may instinctively reach out to help someone who seems vulnerable or take a small risk to explore an unknown corner of the world around him. These acts are not motivated by thought or planning, They flow naturally, as if the impulse has always been a part of him. Adventure Time often portrays heroism as existing not only in grand adventures, but in quiet, consistent choices made from the heart. The child's early life is already shaped by these impulses, subtle yet profound, hinting at a heroism that will emerge more fully as he continues to grow. Dreams continue to provide gentle guidance, layering their soft influence over waking life. The child may awaken with fleeting images of candy-colored towers, rolling hills, distant mountains, or a stretching, playful dog whose form defies the ordinary. These impressions are tender and meditative, evoking feelings of wonder, safety, and curiosity rather than confusion or fear. Adventure Time often suggests that such dreamscapes act as bridges across realities, allowing essence and memory to ripple between worlds. The child does not consciously understand these visions, yet their emotional resonance shapes his perceptions, intuition, and moral instincts in subtle but lasting ways. Even the simplest moments are colored by these echoes of past life. He may pause longer to notice a flower bending in the breeze, delight in the sound of a bird singing, or experience a profound calm while watching sunlight ripple across the ground. Adventure Time emphasizes that these quiet attentions to the world are not trivial. They are the very soil from which courage, creativity, and empathy grow. Finn's spirit, gently carried within the child, sensitizes him to these moments, encouraging wonder, attentiveness, and the instinctive inclination to act with care and kindness toward all living things. The child's relationships with others are equally shaped by these subtle currents. He may intuitively sense another's distress, respond to an unspoken need with quiet empathy, or seek to create harmony in his surroundings without conscious thought. Adventure Time reminds us that moral understanding and emotional intelligence often exist as instincts within a soul, passed forward through essence rather than memory. Finn's heroic qualities, his compassion, patience, and courage, continue to influence the child's behavior, guiding him toward actions that are meaningful, kind, and reflective of the life once lived in Ooh. As the days flow into years, these influences become increasingly integrated into the child's emerging identity. Adventure Time often portrays identity as layered, fluid, and shaped by multiple experiences and lifetimes. The child is entirely new, yet the essence of Finn lives quietly within him, gently informing choices, coloring imagination, and nurturing the first seeds of a hero's heart. Courage, empathy, curiosity, and wonder emerge naturally, expressed in instinctive acts and subtle decisions rather than deliberate thought. These echoes are gentle guides, shaping character and perception in ways both quiet and profound. In moments of reflection or stillness, the child may feel a soft pull toward exploration, creativity, or connection. A hill, a forest, or a stream may call to him in a way that is almost magnetic. Adventure Time teaches that the universe itself preserves essence across time and space, allowing the heart of one life to influence another even when memories fade. Finn's life continues to breathe through the child, offering guidance without direction, presence without intrusion, and courage without compulsion. These subtle echoes are not burdensome. They are quiet, sustaining rhythms that shape the unfolding of a life destined to resonate with the heroism, empathy, and wonder that once defined Ooh. Even in solitude, the child senses a continuity beyond what he can name. Dreams, instincts, and gentle inclinations coalesce into a sense of belonging, curiosity, and readiness. Adventure Time often shows that the persistence of essence does not need recognition to be meaningful. It moves quietly through actions, choices, and perception, shaping lives without fanfare. Finn's spirit, now folded delicately into this new existence, continues to guide the child, preparing him for moments of courage, empathy, and wonder that will eventually crystallize into conscious heroism. The life that once roamed with wide eyes and an open heart now flows quietly in another form, carrying forward the tender, enduring pulse of a hero who never truly fades from the universe. And so, as the child's life continues to unfold, we can see the soft, steady influence of a past existence guiding the present. Adventure Time reminds us that memory and essence persist, not only in conscious recollection, but in instinct, intuition, and moral resonance. Finn's presence is not a shadow, but a whisper of continuity, a quiet pulse that informs the child's perception, nurtures empathy, sparks curiosity, and subtly shapes the unfolding of a hero in the making. These echoes of remind us that life is rarely confined to a single time or place, and that the qualities that define a well-lived existence can ripple across realities, inspiring courage, compassion, and wonder wherever they are carried. Tonight, we drift into a quieter, more mysterious layer of our tale, where the boundaries between worlds soften and the gentle currents of consciousness ripple across realities. This is the space where dreams are not merely the flickering images of imagination, but living realms, bridges between universes, and quiet guides that carry the echoes of one life into another. The child who bears Finn's essence is beginning to wander these sleeping realms, touching landscapes that are at once foreign and intimately familiar, and sensing the faint pulse of a world he has never consciously known. Adventure Time often reminds us that the universe is deeper than the waking eye can perceive, that even in rest, life continues to unfold, and that dreams can carry the legacy of souls across time, space, and existence itself. In these nights, when the world is hushed and blankets cocoon him in warmth, the child steps gently into realms shaped by both memory and possibility. The sleeping world stretches wide and soft, populated by hills that rise like liquid gold, forests that breathe slowly and deliberately, and rivers that shimmer with the light of distant suns. Adventure Time frequently suggests that dreams are active spaces, not passive reflections, where perception, essence, and imagination meet and mingle. In this quiet convergence, Finn's spirit, folded delicately within the child, begins to move with a gentle authority, guiding, shaping, and inviting the child into encounters that feel instinctively right, even if they are unfamiliar and inexplicable. Within these realms, the child may see figures and forms that seem alive with their gentle intelligence. Perhaps a stretching, playful dog bounds across a sun-dappled meadow, its shape familiar yet softly altered, evoking joy and companionship without explicit recognition. Perhaps a tower glows faintly on a distant hill, its candy-colored bricks glimmering with warm light, reminding the child of a comfort he cannot name. Adventure Time often portrays these encounters as more than mere whimsy. They are echoes of past experiences and essences, subtle guides that nudge the dreamer toward qualities like courage, empathy, and curiosity. These are not instructions, nor do they demand conscious understanding. They are felt, absorbed quietly, leaving impressions that shape behavior, perception, and moral instinct. The landscapes themselves are imbued with meaning, though the child does not recognize it. A forest path may wind in patterns reminiscent of yet not replicate it exactly, guiding him through spaces that encourage observation, patience, and attentiveness. Rivers might twist in ways that suggest exploration and risk, while distant mountains glow with a calm promise of reward and discovery. Adventure Time repeatedly emphasizes that the physicality of the dream world is secondary to the lessons and emotional resonance it conveys. The child experiences these spaces as wholly natural, drawn toward the elements that align with the values embedded in him by Finn's lingering essence, learning to move with awareness, courage, and care. Time flows differently here, soft and unmeasured, allowing the child to linger in moments of discovery and wonder. A single tree may stretch across a horizon, its branches twisting into impossible patterns, yet it evokes comfort, curiosity, and reverence. A gentle light may shimmer across a meadow, encouraging the child to follow it, not out of necessity, but out of instinctive curiosity and joy. Adventure Time often highlights that dreams are realms where essence, choice, and moral development can coexist without constraint, offering experiences that ripple subtly into waking life. Within these sleeping landscapes, the child begins to cultivate intuition, empathy, and bravery in ways that are organic, effortless, and deeply resonant. Interactions with dream beings are similarly influential. A soft, luminous creature might approach him, not threatening but inviting connection. Perhaps it guides him toward a path of discovery or silently teaches him patience through observation and gentle companionship. Adventure Time often suggests that such beings are not mere figments of imagination. They are carriers of moral and emotional lessons, remnants of consciousness that traverse time and reality. In these encounters, Finn's essence works quietly through the child, shaping perception, choice, and instinct without intrusion or force, allowing heroism to grow naturally, one tender moment at a time. Even the smallest gestures within these dreams carry significance. Touching a leaf, noticing a ripple in the water, or observing the arc of sunlight across a hill may feel trivial, yet they are all subtle exercises in awareness, empathy, and wonder. Adventure Time teaches us that such attentiveness is itself a form of heroism, a reflection of the qualities that define a life well lived. The child absorbs these lessons quietly, storing them in the depths of consciousness, where they will later shape his interactions with the waking world, his moral intuition, and the first conscious stirrings of heroism that have yet to fully emerge. As nights pass, the child begins to perceive connections between these dream landscapes and his waking life. Perhaps a hill in his backyard mirrors the shape of a distant hill seen in a dream, or a playful dog in the neighborhood evokes the joyful, stretching companion of his sleeping mind. Adventure Time frequently illustrates that the boundaries between dreams and waking life are porous, and that experiences in one can inform the other in subtle and profound ways. The child learns slowly and gently to navigate both realms with a soft confidence, intuition, and curiosity that feels entirely natural, yet is profoundly influenced by the presence of a past life's essence. In this way, the sleeping realms become a sanctuary and a classroom. They are spaces where the child can explore, experiment, and encounter challenges safely, all while guided by the soft pulse of Finn's spirit. Adventure Time reminds us that such spaces are not constrained by the rules of time, gravity, or conventional logic. Instead, they are governed by the gentle flow of emotion, moral resonance, and intuition. The child learns to trust these currents, to follow impressions of safety, courage, and curiosity, and to interact with both landscapes and beings with empathy and attentiveness. And so, night by night, dream by dream, the child drifts through these sleeping realms, touching places, beings, and experiences that feel deeply familiar yet wondrously new. Adventure Time often suggests that this is where the heart of heroism begins to awaken, a quiet, instinctive courage, a gentle empathy, and an unhurried curiosity that prepare the child for moments of conscious bravery and moral choice in the waking world. Finn's essence, folded delicately into the child, moves freely in these dreamscapes, guiding without dictating, nurturing without controlling, and shaping the quiet emergence of a hero who has yet to fully realize the depth of his own soul. As the child drifts further into these sleeping realms, the experiences become richer, more layered, and increasingly influential. Adventure Time often shows us that dreams are not random. They are carefully woven tapestries of memory, essence, and possibility. Within these landscapes, the child is not merely observing, he is participating, moving with a quiet agency that feels natural, yet deeply guided. Each choice he makes, whether to follow a winding path, approach a shimmering river, or rest beneath the shade of an enormous tree, carries lessons in patience, observation, and the gentle courage that Finn once embodied. The world of dreams becomes a subtle training ground where the qualities of heroism are nurtured in the softest, most unassuming ways. Encounters with dream beings are increasingly vivid, yet never threatening. A luminous fox may appear, curling its tail in greeting, inviting the child to follow along a mossy trail. Perhaps a cluster of softly glowing flowers responds to his touch, teaching the quiet magic of observation and care. Adventure Time often portrays such interactions as more than playful whimsy. They are vessels of moral and emotional resonance, subtly shaping understanding and perception. Through these experiences, Finn's essence guides the child toward empathy, curiosity, and courage, without overt instruction. The lessons are absorbed naturally, felt in the heart and instinct rather than articulated in words. The landscapes themselves begin to echo elements of ooh, though always softened and transformed. Hills roll gently under skies painted in twilight hues. Streams curve lazily as if flowing with a deliberate sense of purpose, and distant mountains radiate a quiet promise of discovery. Adventure Time teaches that the universe leaves traces of essence and experience across realities, and here, within the child's dreams, these traces shape exploration, imagination, and moral intuition. He moves through these realms with instinctive attentiveness, guided by currents of courage, empathy, and curiosity embedded within him by Finn's lingering spirit. Even the rhythm of time in these dreams feels fluid, unhurried, and deliberately expansive. The child may linger in a single moment, watching sunlight filter through a grove, listening to the soft ripple of water, or tracing the flight of a bird across a lavender sky. Adventure Time often emphasizes that such attentiveness is itself an exercise in heroism, a cultivation of awareness and empathy that prepares one for both understanding and action in the waking world. Finn's essence, now deeply interwoven with the child's consciousness, ensures that each moment is meaningful, shaping not only perception, but the emotional and moral rhythm of the child's life. Interactions with the dream world increasingly reflect lessons in intuition and moral discernment. The child may sense when a path is safer or more promising, recognize the subtle cues of a dream beast's needs, or choose to wait patiently rather than act hastily. Adventure Time often portrays such instincts as reflections of lived experience, extending beyond memory into the essence of a being. In this way, the child's decisions in dreams are quietly heroic, guided by principles that are felt rather than understood, reinforcing patterns of behavior that will carry forward into waking life. In these dreamscapes, exploration itself becomes a form of moral and emotional education. The child learns that observation matters, that patience can yield insight, and that courage does not always roar, it often whispers. Adventure Time frequently reminds us that heroism is as much about the quiet cultivation of awareness and empathy as it is about grand gestures. The child, moving softly through the landscapes of the sleeping realms, embodies these lessons, experiencing them intuitively, without the need for conscious understanding. Finn's spirit, folded into the child, acts as a gentle guide, ensuring that these experiences leave lasting impressions. As night follows night, the child's engagement with the sleeping realms grows more profound. He begins to anticipate encounters, notice recurring patterns, and recognize the subtle rhythms of the dream world. Adventure Time often suggests that repeated exposure allows instinct, perception, and moral guidance to take root, forming the quiet underpinnings of heroism. These nightly journeys are not adventures in the conventional sense. They are spaces for the cultivation of empathy, curiosity, and quiet courage, the very qualities that define Finn's life and spirit. The child absorbs these qualities effortlessly, shaping the contours of his emerging identity without ever fully realizing the source. Even in moments of stillness within dreams, the child is learning, watching sunlight scatter across a glimmering river, feeling the warmth of a hill beneath his hands, or listening to the distant call of unseen creatures teaches him observation, patience, and connection. Adventure Time reminds us that these subtle lessons are essential to the growth of a hero, and that the soft echo of a past life can provide guidance that is invisible yet profoundly influential. Finn's essence continues to move through the child, quietly nurturing the heart, shaping perception, and preparing the soul for the first conscious stirrings of heroism that will soon begin to emerge in waking life. As the child continues to wander these sleeping realms, the boundaries between dream and waking begin to feel less rigid, more like gentle currents flowing between two halves of the same world. Adventure Time often reminds us that these subtle intersections allow essence and memory to ripple outward in quiet, profound ways. The child may awaken with a soft sense of recognition, a feeling that certain hills, rivers, or creatures are not entirely unfamiliar, though he cannot place why. It is in these moments that the echoes of Ooh begin to gently inform his perception of the waking world, bridging the gap between the tender dreamscapes of night and the tangible experiences of day. Finn's essence, woven into the child, moves freely across these realms, quietly guiding, nurturing, and shaping without ever imposing. Even the smallest gestures within dreams carry weight. A pause to watch a leaf flutter in the breeze, a careful approach to a creature that seems fragile, or the simple act of following a softly glowing path, all teach observation, patience, and empathy. Adventure Time often illustrates that the cultivation of such subtle awareness is itself a heroic act. The child absorbs these lessons instinctively, without questioning or analyzing, allowing the essence of Finn to unfold naturally in his perception and behavior. Each night, each dream, adds another layer to the quiet rhythm of his developing character, shaping him in ways both immediate and lasting. Dreams also teach him about the multiplicity of life, the gentle truth that reality is never singular, and that the universe holds layers beyond the reach of ordinary understanding. A forest in one dream may ripple and shift into a meadow in another. A river may flow backward one night, forward the next. Adventure Time reminds us that the bending of natural laws is not frightening, but instructive, offering a soft rehearsal for understanding, creativity, and adaptability. In navigating these fluid landscapes, the child learns to move with curiosity, to remain patient in uncertainty, and to act with quiet courage, all foundational qualities that once defined Finn's existence. The interactions he has within these sleeping realms are also subtly moral. A creature may be hungry lost, or afraid, and the child finds himself instinctively responding with care, attention, and gentleness. Adventure Time often emphasizes that morality and empathy are not always taught explicitly. They can be inherited through essence, intuition, and experience. The child does not think, "I should help," but instead feels a gentle compulsion to act in alignment with goodness, guided by instincts seated by Finn's enduring spirits. It is in these small choices, repeated night after night, that the quiet pulse of heroism takes root, forming the foundation for more conscious, intentional acts to come. Light and color in these dreams often carry emotional resonance. Soft golds, gentle purples, and warm, diffused light create spaces of comfort, wonder, and safety, while subtle shifts in shadow teach caution, reflection, and mindfulness. Adventure Time repeatedly demonstrates that emotional perception is a form of learning, that feeling and intuition are as instructive as any explicit lesson. The child's interactions with these dreamscapes help cultivate an inner rhythm of awareness, empathy, and courage. These nightly journeys are more than fantastical landscapes. They are exercises in moral development, emotional growth, and the quiet shaping of a hero's heart. Sometimes, the child senses a presence that feels like guidance without words. It is not a voice commanding him, nor an entity imposing its will. It is the faint, almost imperceptible echo of Finn's spirit, folded gently into his consciousness, nudging him toward the paths, choices, and understandings that will allow him to thrive. Adventure Time often portrays such guidance as subtle, felt rather than seen, experience rather than explained. The child's intuition, his sense of what is right, or curious, or safe, is quietly calibrated by these echoes, teaching him to navigate both dream and waking realms with an unspoken wisdom. As nights pass, patterns begin to emerge. The child notices recurring landscapes, familiar shapes, and rhythms in the dream world that feel comforting and yet invigorating. Rivers, hills, animals, and light become teachers, guiding his curiosity, empathy, and courage. Adventure Time suggests that such repetition is essential in nurturing a hero's instincts, forming an invisible scaffolding upon which conscious awareness will later build. Finn's essence continues to move freely within these sleeping realms, allowing the child to practice the fundamental qualities of heroism, attentiveness, compassion, courage, without ever realizing he is learning from a life long past. Even when the child awakens, the residue of these dream journeys lingers. He may notice subtle shifts in perception. A tree seems taller, a flower more vibrant, a path more inviting. Adventure Time reminds us that dreams and waking reality are interwoven, that experiences in one subtly inform the other. The lessons of patience, observation, empathy, and courage continue to unfold during the day, quietly shaping interactions, choices, and responses. Finn's spirit moves like a soft undercurrent, influencing the child's growing identity, moral compass, and imagination, bridging the spaces between worlds with tender, enduring resonance. And so, night after night, dream after dream, the child drifts through these sleeping realms, carrying the echoes of Ooh with him as both compass and companion. Adventure Time teaches that heroism can emerge quietly, nurtured by the gentle repetition of moral and emotional resonance rather than grand gestures alone. The child's subconscious life becomes a crucible of character, imagination, and courage, shaped by the lingering presence of a hero who once roamed Ooh with boundless curiosity and an open heart. Through these sleeping realms, Finn's essence guides, nurtures, and whispers, preparing the child for the first conscious awakenings of heroism that will begin to unfold in both dream and waking life, softly and beautifully bridging the worlds he inhabits. Over time, these dream journeys begin to leave an imprint that reaches beyond the quiet hours of night. Adventure time often suggests that the subtle experiences of sleep are not contained within the dream alone. They ripple outward, shaping the heart, mind, and perception of the waking self. The child awakens each morning with a soft sense of possibility, a gentle curiosity about the world, and an instinctive empathy for those around him. He may pause to notice a bird perched on a branch, a spider weaving its delicate web, or the way sunlight dances across the floor. These small attentions are the first tangible manifestations of the lessons learned in the sleeping realms, quietly shaping behavior, perception, and the developing moral compass of a life touched by heroism before it has even fully awakened. Even ordinary interactions are subtly influenced by these nocturnal experiences. When a friend falls or becomes upset, the child instinctively reaches out with calm care. When an unexpected challenge arises, he approaches it with a thoughtful patience and quiet courage that feels innate, even though it is born of experiences he cannot consciously recall. Adventure time often demonstrates that heroism is as much about the consistency of small acts as it is about grand adventures. The child's instincts are not random. They are echoes of a life lived fully in ooh, transmitted through dreams and folded into his essence, guiding choices in ways that are gentle, profound, and entirely natural. These echoes also shape the child's imagination, making it unusually vivid and resonant. He may invent stories that feel alive, full of landscapes, characters, and creatures that resonate with a sense of familiarity and depth. Adventure time teaches that imagination is a vessel for essence and moral truth. Through play and creativity, the child begins to rehearse the qualities of empathy, bravery, and curiosity, exploring moral decisions and emotional landscapes in a safe, playful space. Finn's spirit moves quietly within these creations, providing the rhythm and pulse of heroism without demanding awareness or recognition. These exercises in imagination nurture intuition and moral sensitivity, preparing the child for conscious engagement with the world in ways that feel instinctive and effortless. As the child grows, he begins to recognize patterns between his dreams and waking experiences. Hills, streams, and forests that appear in play or exploration often echo landscapes visited in dreams. Animals and creatures, whether real or imagined, may evoke memories he cannot consciously claim. Adventure time often portrays these intersections as opportunities for growth and understanding, allowing the dreamer to integrate lessons learned in sleep into daily life. The child is learning to navigate reality with the soft guidance of instinct, the moral and emotional resonance of a past life, and the subtle influence of a world beyond ordinary perception. Finn's essence shapes this development quietly, allowing the qualities of a hero to emerge organically. Even moments of solitude become instructive. Sitting beneath a tree, observing the way sunlight moves through leaves, or listening to the faint hum of evening insects teaches attentiveness, patience, and wonder. Adventure time often emphasizes that heroism is cultivated in the quiet moments as much as in acts of overt courage. Finn's lingering presence ensures that the child absorbs these lessons naturally, without conscious effort or recognition. These experiences accumulate, forming an invisible architecture of awareness, empathy, and moral guidance that will continue to shape the child's waking life and actions. Dreams occasionally introduce challenges that require careful thought or courage. A fragile bridge over a glowing river, a shadowy path winding through a forest, or a hesitant creature needing reassurance may appear. Adventure time shows us that such trials, though subtle and fantastical, serve as training grounds for moral intuition and instinctive heroism. The child learns to navigate these challenges with care, courage, and empathy, honing skills that will eventually translate into conscious action. Finn's essence, present in every careful step and gentle choice, provides guidance without overt control, allowing the child to develop autonomy while nurturing the quiet pulse of heroism within. Through these nightly journeys and daytime reflections, the child begins to inhabit a life shaped by more than ordinary experience. Adventure Time often explores the idea that the universe is layered and that the essence of one life can ripple across realities. Finn's presence moves with subtlety and grace, infusing perception, emotion, and instinct with the qualities that once defined a hero of Uru. The child is unaware of the source, yet he embodies courage, empathy, curiosity, and attentiveness, living with a gentle rhythm that reflects the quiet power of essence carried across time and space. And so the sleeping realms become more than nightly escapes. They are the foundation upon which heroism begins to awaken consciously. Dreams serve as classrooms, training grounds, and sanctuary, where the child rehearses the qualities that will later guide him in the waking world. Adventure Time reminds us that heroism is not born only in grand deeds, but in the cultivation of perception, empathy, curiosity, and courage across moments both small and fleeting. Finn's spirit flows freely through the child, softly shaping choices, nurturing awareness, and providing a gentle pulse that bridges universes, worlds, and realities. Night by night, dream by dream, the child absorbs the quiet lessons of courage, empathy, and curiosity, allowing the essence of Finn to flourish within him. Adventure Time often emphasizes that heroism can emerge from subtle guidance, gentle teaching, and the quiet cultivation of moral and emotional resonance. These experiences prepare the child for the first conscious awakenings of bravery, empathy, and wonder that will unfold in both dreams and waking life. The child's soul, intertwined with Finn's essence, moves steadily toward recognition, action, and the delicate emergence of a hero who is beginning to realize the depth and beauty of his own heart, bridging the sleeping realms and the waking world with quiet grace and enduring light. Tonight we enter the gentle dawn of a new chapter in our story where echoes of a past life begin to blossom into conscious awareness. The child, nurtured through dreams and subtle instincts, is starting to awaken to a world that feels both familiar and new, guided by the soft, enduring presence of Finn's essence. Adventure Time teaches us that heroism is not simply a matter of memory, but a living rhythm of the heart, a quiet pulse that can survive across lifetimes and realities. It is here in the early stirrings of conscious choice that the child begins to encounter the first true moments of courage, curiosity, and empathy in the waking world, uniting instinct with intention and imagination with action. In the calm of early morning, the child may rise with a subtle sense of purpose, a quiet curiosity about the world around him. Perhaps he lingers at a window, watching sunlight spill across the lawn, noticing the way shadows bend and twist with the gentle movement of leaves. Adventure Time often emphasizes that such attentiveness is the beginning of awareness, a soft rehearsal for heroism that is learned not through instruction, but through perception and feeling. These small moments, so easily overlooked, are the first threads in the tapestry of conscious moral and emotional development, and they are guided by the unseen hand of a life once lived, now quietly shaping the child's perception instincts. Even the simplest choices begin to reflect the presence of Finn's lingering essence. When offered a chance to comfort a friend, the child may do so instinctively, his empathy arising naturally from within. When confronted with a minor challenge, a high branch to reach, a small animal in distress, or a game with rules he does not yet fully understand, he approaches it with a calm patience, weighing options, and moving with thoughtful courage. Adventure Time often portrays heroism as existing first in these subtle, everyday moments, long before the grand gestures of legend. In these small acts, the child begins to realize that his instincts are more than random impulses. They are echoes of a life defined by curiosity, bravery, and compassion. The child's imagination continues to flourish, now blending the fluidity of dreams with the textures of the waking world. Hills, rivers, and forests that appeared in sleep may manifest in play or exploration, prompting curiosity and gentle experimentation. Creatures once glimpsed in the dreamscape may appear in sketches, stories, or games, fostering a sense of empathy and understanding. Adventure Time teaches us that imagination is a bridge between essence and conscious life, a place where inherited instincts can be expressed, tested, and refined through play, storytelling, and quiet observation. The child begins to cultivate the awareness and courage that will later define acts of conscious heroism. A gentle awareness of purpose begins to emerge. The child may feel drawn toward actions that are meaningful yet unobtrusive, helping a sibling with a small task, picking up litter from a garden path, or tending to an animal in need. Adventure Time often illustrates that heroism is born in attention, care, and choice. These instinctive gestures, guided by the unseen pulse of Finn's essence, help the child recognize that action and intention can harmonize, that courage need not roar to be real, and that empathy is an ongoing practice rather than a singular act. It is here that the first seeds of conscious moral and heroic understanding begin to take root, soft and steady, awaiting the unfolding of greater awareness. Even the child's responses to difficulty or discomfort reflect this growing presence of heroism. A scrape, a minor fear, or an unexpected obstacle may be met not with panic, but with a quiet resilience, a patience born of instinctive confidence. Adventure Time reminds us that courage is often cultivated in these small trials, in the moments when the world is not overwhelming but requires attentiveness, care, and the willingness to act despite uncertainty. Finn's lingering essence moves quietly within the child, providing a gentle guidance that feels natural, unforced, and deeply reassuring. The child begins to understand that action can be both meaningful and deliberate, that bravery can coexist with reflection, and that empathy can inform every decision, no matter how small. Nature itself seems to respond to the awakening of this new soul. A breeze may stir leaves in gentle acknowledgement, sunlight may glimmer more vividly across a familiar path, and the quiet movements of animals may capture the child's attention in ways that invite both curiosity and care. Adventure Time frequently emphasizes that the universe is receptive to the pulse of life, and that awareness, intention, and moral presence leave subtle imprints upon the world. Finn's essence, folded delicately into the child's being, allows him to move in harmony with these rhythms, reinforcing the lessons learned in dreams and the instincts carried through sleep. The child begins to feel a sense of alignment between inner intention and outer experience, a quiet recognition that the world is both vast and approachable, mysterious yet deeply noble. The first conscious decisions of heroism emerge as gentle, considered acts. The child may choose to help someone struggling without expectation of reward, to explore a hidden space with curiosity rather than fear, or to observe and understand a creature before interacting with it. Adventure Time often illustrates that such choices seemingly small and ordinary, are the beginnings of a heroic identity, the quiet flowering of qualities that have long existed within the soul. Finn's essence guides without coercion, allowing courage, empathy, and curiosity to arise organically, teaching the child that heroism is not an obligation, but a natural expression of an awakened heart and an attentive mind. The child's sense of wonder, deeply cultivated in dreams and early instincts, now begins to merge seamlessly with deliberate exploration. Adventure Time reminds us that curiosity is a cornerstone of heroism, and that an openness to discovery, to the beauty and strangeness of the world, prepares a soul for both understanding and action. Hills, rivers, forests, and hidden nooks are approached with both care and fascination, each small step an exercise in attentiveness, patience, and courage. Finn's lingering presence ensures that the child's engagement with the world is measured, empathetic, and morally resonant, gently preparing him for challenges and choices that will soon require conscious heroism of a deeper kind. As days unfold, the child's actions begin to reflect quiet confidence, a subtle awareness that some choices carry weight beyond immediate consequences. Adventure Time often reminds us that heroism does not announce itself with grand gestures. It whispers in the decisions made with care, empathy, and thoughtful attention. Perhaps the child notices a younger sibling struggling with a small task and instinctively offers guidance without impatience. Perhaps he observes a bird tangled in a branch and gently helps it free itself. These moments, ordinary in appearance, are infused with the echoes of Finn's spirit, carrying forward lessons of courage, patience, and compassion in ways that are tender, unassuming, and profoundly formative. The child begins to recognize a harmony between the impulses once experienced in dreams and the possibilities of the waking world. Adventure Time often suggests that the interplay between subconscious experience and conscious action is where true growth occurs. The qualities nurtured in sleep, curiosity, empathy, courage, and attentiveness, now find expression in deliberate choices. Exploration becomes a conscious practice, whether wandering through a grove, examining the creatures that inhabit a garden, or inventing games that mirror landscapes once glimpsed only in dreams. Each act of observation and engagement strengthens the emerging bridge between instinct and awareness, between the lingering echoes of ooh and the life the child now inhabits. There is a gentle unfolding of responsibility as well. The child senses that the world around him responds to intention, that care and attention can shape outcomes, and that small actions can ripple outward in subtle but meaningful ways. Adventure Time frequently portrays heroism as arising from these quiet realizations, the understanding that influence is always present, and that ethical, empathetic engagement matters, even in the smallest gestures. Finn's essence moves with delicate guidance, encouraging patience, attentiveness, and courage without forcing action or creating anxiety. The child learns to act from intuition and empathy, experiencing firsthand the quiet power of moral awareness. Imagination continues to serve as a bridge between the inherited spirit of Finn and the child's growing consciousness. Landscapes, creatures, and narratives first encountered in dreams begin to resurface in playful exploration and creative endeavors. Adventure Time often highlights imagination as both training ground and laboratory for moral and heroic development. Through drawing, storytelling, or games, the child rehearses the qualities he will need in real-world situations: problem-solving, empathy, patience, and courage. Finn's essence acts as a quiet mentor in these exercises, shaping instinctive responses into deliberate choices, nurturing heroism in ways that are as natural as breathing. The child also begins to recognize patterns of cause and effect in his interactions with the world. A plant tended with care flourishes. A small kindness elicits gratitude, and curiosity often leads to discovery. Adventure Time suggests that these observations are foundational for the development of wisdom and agency. By integrating the lessons of dreams and instinct into conscious awareness, the child begins to understand that action, empathy, and attentiveness are not separate from the world, but threads woven into its fabric. Finn's lingering presence ensures that these lessons are absorbed without pressure, creating a sense of alignment between intention and impact that feels intuitive and reassuring. Even the child's responses to unexpected challenges show the subtle emergence of heroism. A sudden storm may call for resourcefulness. A misstep may require careful correction, or a frightened creature may need gentle guidance. Adventure Time often portrays such situations as opportunities for quiet courage, moments where instinct and awareness merge to create meaningful action. The child navigates these instances with a soft confidence, an inner rhythm of moral and emotional steadiness, nurtured through dreams and the ongoing presence of Finn's spirit. Each choice strengthens the connection between essence and conscious identity, allowing the child to experience firsthand the emergence of heroic qualities. In moments of reflection, the child may sense a continuity between who he is and something larger, older, and familiar, though he cannot yet articulate it. Adventure Time frequently explores the notion that identity is layered, that past lives and universal currents subtly shape perception, emotion, and intuition. Finn's essence acts as a quiet pulse within the child, reinforcing bravery, empathy, and curiosity, and creating a gentle harmony between past and present, instinct and intention. The child begins to understand, at a visceral level, that the heart of a hero is not born overnight, but unfolds gradually through careful attention, moral sensitivity, and a willingness to act with care and courage. Through these first conscious awakenings, the child begins to inhabit his world with a sense of agency and wonder that feels entirely natural. Adventure Time teaches us that heroism grows quietly through repeated experiences, attentive observation, and acts of care that ripple through both space and time. Finn's presence, folded gently into the child, continues to guide without imposing, nurturing the development of courage, empathy, and curiosity in ways that are subtle, enduring, and profoundly meaningful. It is here, in these early, deliberate steps, that the next dreamer's journey truly begins, a life shaped by echoes, imagination, and the quiet pulse of heroism that bridges worlds, memories, and hearts. As the child continues to navigate his waking life, the subtle guidance of Finn's lingering essence becomes ever more apparent. Adventure Time often teaches that heroism is not a sudden, dramatic event, but a quiet, ongoing rhythm, a way of perceiving the world, responding with empathy, and acting with thoughtful courage. In each small choice, whether helping a friend, exploring a hidden corner of a forest, or offering comfort to a frightened animal, the child begins to experience the deep satisfaction that comes from aligning instinct with intention. Finn's spirit, folded delicately into the child, does not shout or demand, but moves gently alongside him, whispering encouragement through the pulse of intuition and the quiet sway of moral awareness. Exploration becomes a deliberate practice. The child seeks out spaces that once existed only in dreams, moving through them with a measured curiosity that feels natural yet profound. Adventure Time suggests that the blending of imagination, instinct, and observation is where true heroism begins to flourish. He examines the way sunlight filters through branches, notices the ripple of water over stones, and marvels at the patterns of clouds across the sky. Each act of attentiveness is both a lesson and a reward, an integration of the experiences of sleep and the instincts inherited from a life that once roamed ooh. Finn's essence ensures that every step, every observation, carries significance, fostering patience, empathy, and a quiet confidence. The child's interactions with others reflect this subtle growth. When faced with someone in need, he acts without hesitation but with thoughtful care, offering help without expectation, guided by an innate understanding of fairness, empathy, and kindness. Adventure Time often illustrates that true courage is inseparable from compassion, that heroism flourishes when awareness of others' needs is integrated with action. Finn's lingering spirit moves through the child as a quiet, moral compass, shaping responses without coercion, nurturing an instinctive understanding that one's choices matter and that small acts of kindness can ripple far beyond immediate perception. Even moments of solitude become a space for moral and emotional growth. Sitting beneath a tree, listening to the wind, or observing a bird in flight teaches the child patience, presence, and attentiveness. Adventure Time frequently portrays such contemplative moments as essential to the cultivation of a hero's heart. Finn's essence imbues these experiences with subtle guidance, ensuring that even without conscious thought, the child absorbs lessons in observation, empathy, and resilience. Each quiet interaction with the world becomes a rehearsal for future choices, a soft training ground where heroism takes root and grows, invisible yet powerful. The child begins to notice connections between dreams and waking experiences. Landscapes glimpsed in sleep echo in real hills and rivers. Creatures once imagined appear in play, and situations in the waking world mirror challenges faced in dreams. Adventure Time reminds us that the universe often folds upon itself, allowing essence and memory to ripple between planes of existence. Finn's spirit navigates these folds gently, guiding the child to perceive continuity, recognize opportunity, and respond with a calm, thoughtful courage. The child begins to sense that the world is interconnected, that every choice carries weight, and that his instincts and perceptions are threads woven from something greater than mere chance. Imagination, instinct, and conscious awareness now converge in meaningful ways. The child invents stories, games, and explorations that mirror landscapes and moral challenges from dreams, using them to practice judgment, creativity, and empathy. Adventure Time often emphasizes that such practices are not frivolous. They are essential training grounds where a hero's qualities are refined and tested. Finn's presence, subtle and reassuring, guides without dictating, allowing courage, empathy, and curiosity to emerge naturally. Each creative act strengthens the alignment between instinct and intention, weaving the echoes of past heroism into the living fabric of the child's emerging self. Even as challenges grow, the child meets them with the quiet confidence of someone who has learned to trust intuition, observation, and empathy. Adventure Time reminds us that heroism is cultivated through repetition, reflection, and awareness, not through grand spectacle. Each thoughtful decision, each patient act, each measured risk reinforces a rhythm of courage and compassion that will continue to shape the child's life. Finn's essence, no longer only a subtle whisper, is now integrated fully into the child's being, informing perception, guiding moral awareness, and nurturing the steady pulse of heroism within. And so the next dreamer steps fully into his journey. Adventure Time teaches us that lives, souls, and essences are rarely confined to a single chapter. They ripple outward, influencing new worlds, new realities, and new hearts. The child, carrying the quiet guidance, empathy, and courage of a hero once known as Finn, begins to inhabit his life with awareness, curiosity, and moral resonance. Dreams and waking experiences, instinct and intention, imagination and observation all converge, creating a harmonious rhythm of being. The child's heart, fully awakened to the soft, enduring presence of a past life, is ready to embrace the possibilities of heroism, creativity, and wonder that await. And as we close our story tonight, sleepyheads, we can imagine the child lying beneath the quiet glow of a setting sun, feeling the gentle pulse of the universe around him. In dreams and waking life, in laughter, exploration, and quiet reflection, the spirit of Finn lives on, guiding, inspiring, and nurturing the next dreamer. Adventure Time reminds us that heroism is timeless, that courage and empathy ripple across realities, and that even when one life ends, another begins, softly, quietly, and beautifully. As the child continues to navigate the delicate balance between dreams and waking life, the presence of Finn's essence becomes a soft, guiding light that shapes both perception and action. Adventure Time often reminds us that heroism is not always measured in grand gestures or epic battles, but in the quiet consistency of attention, care, and empathy. Each small choice, helping a friend, noticing the sway of a tree in the wind, responding gently to a frightened animal, resonates with a quiet courage that is instinctive, yet profound. The child begins to sense, without fully understanding, that his heart carries lessons learned across realities, a tender inheritance of bravery, curiosity, and compassion. Even ordinary moments take on an extraordinary depth. The way sunlight filters through the leaves of a familiar tree, or the soft ripple of water in a quiet stream, or the subtle call of a distant bird, all speak to the child in ways that feel intimate and meaningful. Adventure Time often portrays these details as threads of awareness, teaching observation, patience, and a kind of quiet wonder that allows the soul to perceive the interconnectedness of life. Finn's spirit, folded gently into the child, ensures that every moment, no matter how small, is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to act with gentle, deliberate care. The child's moral compass becomes increasingly refined, informed by instincts once lived in ooh, and nurtured through nights spent wandering the sleeping realms. Acts of empathy, bravery, and kindness flow naturally, guided by a soft, internal rhythm rather than imposed rules. Adventure Time emphasizes that heroism is often invisible, a series of conscious choices made with attentiveness and heart. Finn's essence works quietly within the child, transforming ordinary experiences into exercises in patience, courage, and understanding. Each decision, each act, no matter how small, becomes part of a growing pattern of heroism, a legacy carried forward in subtle, beautiful ways. Imagination continues to serve as both compass and playground, bridging the lessons of dreams with the experiences of waking life. Landscapes glimpsed in sleep reappear in games, stories, and moments of exploration, providing the child with a familiar yet ever-expanding framework for curiosity, empathy, and problem-solving. Adventure Time often highlights imagination as a vessel for moral and emotional development, a space where instinct and intention meet in creative expression. Through these playful acts, the child rehearses heroism, exercises awareness, and nurtures courage in ways that feel natural, joyous, and deeply resonant. Challenges begin to appear with gentle frequency, inviting the child to act with intention, reflection, and courage. A creature in need, an unexpected obstacle, or a difficult decision becomes an opportunity to engage the world with moral clarity and calm bravery. Adventure Time teaches that such experiences are formative, helping a young hero internalize lessons learned across lifetime. Finn's presence in these moments is subtle, a quiet whisper that guides instinct and intuition, ensuring that the child learns to navigate challenges not by force, but with patience, care, and insight. Each successful act strengthens the emerging awareness that heroism is a living practice, an expression of alignment between heart, mind, and world. The child begins to sense a continuity that stretches beyond ordinary perception. There is a familiarity in the shapes of hills, in the flow of rivers, in the warmth of sunlight, as though life itself is echoing the landscapes of dreams. Adventure time often suggests that existence is layered and that the essence of one life can ripple outward, influencing perception, choice, and moral awareness in subtle, enduring ways. Finn's spirit flows within the child like a gentle undercurrent, shaping responses, fostering empathy, and nurturing a quiet, natural courage that aligns instinct with conscious action. Even moments of reflection or solitude carry profound lessons. Observing the slow rise and fall of the wind through a meadow, listening to the faint rustle of creatures in the undergrowth, or tracing the shimmer of sunlight across a stream, all cultivate attentiveness, patience, and wonder. Adventure time teaches us that these experiences are foundational, shaping the rhythms of thought, feeling, and intuition that support a life of heroism. Finn's lingering essence ensures that every encounter, every observation, every quiet breath of awareness contributes to the child's growth, creating a deep harmony between instinct, intention, and lived experience. As days turn to weeks and weeks to months, the child begins to inhabit his world fully, guided by the soft pulse of heroism inherited from a past life. Adventure time reminds us that courage, empathy, and curiosity do not emerge suddenly. They are cultivated gradually through the consistent attention, moral sensitivity, and subtle action. Each choice, each act of care, each quiet exploration builds upon the lessons learned in dreams, merging instinct with conscious awareness, imagination with perception, and past with present. The child's heart becomes a vessel for the echo of Finn, carrying forward a heroism that is tender, thoughtful, and enduring. And so, sleepyheads, as the child lies beneath the soft glow of a setting sun or the quiet embrace of evening, we can imagine him breathing deeply, attuned to the gentle rhythm of the world, guided by a presence that spans lifetime. Adventure time teaches that heroism is timeless, that the echoes of a life well lived can ripple across realities, and that even as one chapter ends, another quietly begins. The next dreamer moves forward with curiosity, empathy, and courage, carrying the heart of Finn within him, stepping softly into a world that awaits his gentle, deliberate, and enduring heroism. Good night.